How's it going, everyone? And welcome to a currently fernless episode, but maybe that'll change later. Episode of No Excuses with your favorite show host, Aristel.
And Volacel, and no Fern, but he said he's going to attempt to drop in later, but we'll have to see how it goes since he said that before without managing to ever actually show up in the end. We'll see what happens. But in the meantime, we will bring you the latest news and games commentary for the week as we saw it. And if you'd like to involve with the show, you can do so by sending us email at noexcusesvtw@gmail.com. You can follow us on the Twitter at noexcusesvtw, or you can join us in the Discord server, the best place to communicate with the show hosts and other show listeners and see all of Aristeel's collection of Phoebe gifts. You can get there by clicking on the link provided in the show description underneath the archive version of the show on YouTube.
Do have a lot of Phoebe gifts. Yeah, this one has more than Phoebe in it. But yeah. This week, do the weeks normally. We got Wua doesn't have much going on, but understandable week after a major patch. ZZZ had its big patch this week, so there's plenty to do there. I'll be talking a little bit about a very old Xbox game that I've been working on for the past 2 weeks.
Even only knows why.
Because I got the collection on super cheap during the last sale. I had all three. I have not played the second or third game in the series. So yeah. I'll be talking a bit about that when we get to my week. So yeah. It started. Not Fern. So used to saying Fern your week at the start, but he's never here. Vol, your week.
Okay. My week has not been as stressful as some previous weeks that I've had due to there being, basically less that I could do that was productive at work, therefore more of a reason not to hang around and work late. But most of that free time did not get funneled into gaming, more it got funneled into sleeping, and I actually managed to get some catching up done on my sleep. So I feel merely sick and not dead at the moment, which is fantastic by my standards. But yeah, we'll just go from the top since, as always, my week is clogged with gacha stuff. Blue Archive have not moved anywhere. The Asia server was having a time this time last week attempting to fight Malkuth, and after like a week, we managed to get Malkuth down to about 40%, and I haven't checked for a few days now, so maybe Malkuth is down now, or maybe the raid period is over. I don't know what happened, but I'm fairly sure that no matter what, John Nixon would have had to step in and forcibly decrease some of those HP totals because we were not getting that thing down. My goodness. I even hung around to help with the raids and put some damage on Malkuth myself, despite the fact that I don't normally play Blue Archive anymore. Simply because Asia was riding the struggle bus, I'm here to tell you. The best Asian players are the best players in the world generally. Though the JP team would compete with that, they would disagree. But they are just fewer in number and fewer total raiders taking place. PvP is much more popular, or so it seems. But yeah, it's we was riding a struggle bus on that one. I'll probably check back in this weekend and see if we've got to the end of that, because I kind of just want to see the end of the story. With the defeat of the Steel Continent will lead to the end, like the formal sort of end, more or less, of part one's main stories. There are a couple of like little mini events, like there's one based around the game's development department having to clean up their club room after returning from the Steel Continent, because for some reason the biggest Kivotis threatening threat, I guess, is being faced down with by the most goober club in the game. Obviously, who else could you possibly pick? Um, but yeah, other than that, and I think that there's like another short event that I think it might be Fox Squadron based. I could be wrong about that. I might be misremembering. But this basically the short version is there's not much left to part one. With the close of Decagrammaton is the close of the main part one stories, and then we'll be launching into part two, um, which is leading off with a new prologue and a new chapter 0, etc., focused on the student council and various preview trailers and that show that the Odyssey Maritime School is also going to feature in this part. Um, but yeah, it's all coming to a close now for part one. We'll see how it all rounds up in the end. We'll see if the Decagrammaton engineers will end up being students that join a school, despite their avowed insistence that they would never do such an absurd thing. But Sensei tends to be quite persuasive. After all, he pretty much persuaded the entirety of Arius back into civil society. Anyway, moving on from that, the fastest one to get out of the way, I guess, is Star Rail, because nothing is happening in Star Rail, and everybody can see the dryness. Not really sure how they're resolving this internally. Like, it's but due to the overwhelming popularity of Star Rail in Japan, it probably takes in more money than any of the other Hoyo games. And yet, for some reason, it generates less content than any of the other Hoyo games. So I don't know what is being done with all of their money, but they are definitely being treated as a cash cow by the broader company, so that they can invest in massive amounts of projects, most of which will get cancelled without launch, or they will all get launched and then cancel themselves because the market doesn't have room for that many Hoyo games. I guess we'll have to wait and see. I mean, there's more footage has come out of some of their other titles this past couple weeks, but honestly, they don't look very inspiring to me. Like one of their newer ones, it just kind of gives me a vibe as sort of like a weird mashup of like combining, like, I don't know, how would I put this? It's sort of, it looks like they're trying to aim in the sort of like the woo-woo graphics fidelity direction, and with similar sort of gameplay, but the vibe is quite different. The vibe feels more like Resident Evil or Secret World, and the sort of the gameplay, the stuff that they've been releasing lately, doesn't really make it look like the gameplay is really all that much richer than, say, Genshin. So I'm not really sure what the appeal is supposed to be there. I feel like that whole thing is a terrible idea, in the sense that they are at this point only going to cannibalize their own audience. Either they will lean more heavily in the action direction, in which case they'll be trying to cannibalize the ZZZ audience, or they'll be leaning more heavily in the world exploration direction, in which case they're going to be cannibalizing their Genshin audience. I don't see how this actually results in a significant amount more revenue for them. This is the reason why most companies that are developers don't try and service too many games in the same genre at once. It wouldn't make sense to. It's like you don't see Riot Games releasing, a parallel sci-fi themed League of Legends game or something, because they would just be cannibalizing their own audience. It wouldn't make sense from a business perspective. But it seems like that's what Hoyo's doing. They've got like 13 games on the docket or something stupid like that.
Yeah.
But
The way they seem to treat funding for the games, it's like it seems almost not to matter how well an individual game is doing at any given time, and to a bit that, and for that's kind of understandable given the abnormal nature of Star Rail and Genshin's launch, you know, post and or during and immediately after coup. Like, so
yeah,
that's a
I
little
think
bit understandable, but they just
I
your
think a
performance
lot
doesn't
of
seem to go one to one with your resources you get.
I think a lot of the seeming stability that ZZZ has simply comes from their isolation from the rest of that environment.
Yeah.
They they don't seem to have the same sort of pressures bearing down on them all the time. Like they've got their own types of pressures, but it's not like all smushed together with the rest of the IPs because they're kind of siloed off in their own office to some extent. But yeah, so Star Rail's not doing anything, and they've been pretty silent on the marketing front as well. Um, which normally you do that at this point in a patch cycle because you're afraid of cannibalizing attention away from your already released content with unreleased content. But there's basically nothing going on for them to cannibalize. I mean, they don't have anybody to blame that on but themselves, unless there's really, internally their budget is being sabotaged, which is entirely possible, judging by how much money they're taking in versus how much appears to be being put back into the game. But yeah, I don't know. I think this is quite likely to be one of the fruits of AI functionally. They were using they were intending to use Star Rail as a test bed for a bunch of AI stuff, and most of that didn't really reach fruition. Um, but Hoyo has said that they're basically bullish about investing quantities of money, significant quantities of money, in exploring AI as an option. And where's that money going to come from? Well, I'm thinking it probably comes from Star Rail because that's the main site of money is going into the business and it's not coming out from the avenue that it's going in. So, yeah. I'm hoping that this whole AI thing will blow over after a while because honestly, it's just kind of silly at this point. Like the amount of money that has gone into it, like across the world, is like it's that much success is not going to come out. There's room for a handful of successes. It doesn't really matter exactly how many people go in on it because that's not going to alter the number of people that are successful. The market can only support so much. And it's true that there are lots of different stages to like the AI development stack, and different companies are aiming at different locations. But I mean, it's gotten kind of out of hand. If you look at like Computex in Taipei this year, a lot of like the old hands who have been at Computex every year have been pretty much forced off of the show floor because they weren't AIing hard enough. And companies that already controlled a large amount of exhibition room floor have been given additional space simply because they've got AI stuff to present.
Yeah, it's also AI's also reached a point where every aspect of it is starting to slow down significantly in the improvements it makes. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it's not like I don't use it. I do use it for various things. Not particularly intensively, just sort of like casually. It's like, oh well, I need somebody to frame this thing up for me. Like an answer to a particular question, like that I already know the answer to, but I need to word it in a particular way. Well, I can get it to grind through iterations on that, or sort of like weird bits of esoteric knowledge that I want to check up on that I don't particularly know how to word the question, that I can just sort of flail in its general direction and then refine the question until I get the sort of the answer I want that will give me a better direction to search in. Well, there are things that you can use the various LLMs for in that regard. But in like artistic terms, it just generates consistent spurge outs. Like I don't know what's going to happen if it reaches the level that people generally can't tell when AI has been involved in an asset creation. It's either people will stop spurging out because they don't realize it's AI, or they'll just proceed to spurge out at everything, which seems to be the preferred route on social media. Um, but yeah, I think that there's sort of like upper limits to the usefulness of this type of thing. But our boy Jensen Wang is very keen on the idea of replacing humanity with AI agents, like generally,
hmm
because he's a lunatic. But he's also a very wealthy lunatic. Um, but yeah, he and basically all of the other companies like him are sort of following in his wake, are entirely enamored of the idea that people will have AI agents to act as assistants, and those AIs will use PCs, and people won't use PCs themselves. They will just tell the AI agent to do it for them. And it's going to be turtles all the way down, I guess, because that seems to be the way it's going. Like, you'll have an LLM that uses the LLM that uses your LLM
Entire world
to do something.
based on information sourced from Reddit and Wikipedia.
Well, it's not even that though, right? Like, the information on information on Reddit and Wikipedia, um, ultimately, even if it comes from retards, ultimately it comes from humans. But we're headed in a very, very rapidly in the sort of the dead internet direction, where LLMs are just sourcing their information from other LLMs.
Yeah.
So when a bad token gets in, the whole system goes septic very quickly.
I don't know about you, but anytime I read a comment section now, like I used to go to the comment section first on news articles after reading the first like 2 paragraphs, and now whenever I go to a comment section, I just read it. I'm like, an AI can spit that out. That's a lame brain take. That's not. Is this an idiot or a robot? There's so many comments that just miss context all the time, and I'm starting to be like, how much of the internet engagement apparatus now is actually the dead internet theory that wasn't really viable when it started as a thing, but now you just don't know.
Well, the real question is, how do you tell the difference between an LLM and an Indian content farmer?
I tell you what, they're getting the Jeets have found a way to uh make their scam calls more devious for older people, and that they are using AI to take their voice in real time and play it back with an American accent.
I see.
So they're using voice modulated AI to make it sound like they're American. And because if you get a call in America from a number you don't know and it's an Indian, the conditioned response is hang up the phone. And the only reason you would answer it is one, you're old and you answer all your phone calls, or two, you're waiting on a call from people or expecting contact from somebody that may not be in your contacts. But if you and you will get an Indian spam call if you're doing that, and you answer it, and it's like, oh, nope, hanging up on you. So now they're using AI to make themselves sound American to get around that conditioned response and make it sound more legitimate. And it is going to trick old people with that simple change. Slight tangent, but it's been annoying me lately with because I've been getting a lot of them at the office.
I see. I just I just don't answer my phone. That's been my solution.
My money is in the phone. That's where the money comes from.
Yeah, that basically anybody who has anything important enough to tell me has my personal number. So my work phone is basically a filter to determine who does and does not have anything important to say. If the person is calling my work phone, it's probably not important, even if they think it is. Because if you were important, I would have given you my personal number.
I avoid giving out my personal number like the plague. Customers will ask for it, and I only do it if the customer is so old and ancient that, or just so technologically illiterate they don't know how to use email. I'll send them a text message so they can text me stuff. Because there are some people that just don't know how to use email.
I don't give customers my personal number. Somebody gave my personal number to a customer once, and it was a huge pain in the ass. But yeah, generally speaking, they don't. Customers don't have my personal number. It's so customers always call my work phone. However, customers are not supposed to call me at all. The the fact that they keep doing so just shows that they can't read. I mean, every one of my customers has a service manager assigned to them who can handle their needs so that they don't have to bother me. If they're trying to bother me, it means that they're trying to go around the system for personal benefit, which makes it even less likely that I am to help you.
Or worse, they're an idiot and can't read.
I mean, it's possible. Occasionally, I do help them. Like if they are like if it's like 8 in the evening and they're a really really small customer and they're calling me on like a Saturday evening or something, it's because they're desperate and they can't find anybody. And then sometimes I'll pick up the phone and help them. Usually because something has gone horribly wrong and they don't know what to do. But under normal circumstances, there's no reason for me to talk to the customers. I'll send them to somebody whose job it is to handle the customers. But yeah. Anyway, yeah. So Star Rail's doing sweet bugger all, and nobody's particularly happy or impressed by that. But yeah, it is what it is. We'll just have to wait for something to happen. Moving on. I'm going to avoid the topic of ZZZ because the only thing I've done in ZZZ is play the story. I haven't had time to do anything else. So I will basically add on to whatever Ari has to say about it because he sampled a lot more of various ZZZ things over the course of the week. I have not touched it other than just doing the main story, and all I'll say about that is that I don't know, I felt like it was a good lark. Like I felt like I sat down and had an adventure, and I was happy at the end of it. It was weak in a few places, but it was not the sort of weakness that I'm particularly offended by. If this had been like a climactic 3.1 or 3.2 and it was this week, I would have been upset. But this is an intro patch, so I didn't care. But yeah, anyway, we can go more into that a bit later. So what else did I do this week? This week, speaking of AI, I let the AI on my browser convince me to buy more RAM for my computer. When I say that, I mean I put various market scenarios, and as I was trying to work out some pricing trend information and stuff, to the AI, because the AI is quicker at trawling through data than I am, to find out, okay, so historically, what has been the pattern for the prices on these things? How is it likely to change based on the current market situation? What are the trends likely to look like? What is previous release schedules for this type of thing? How do they map onto the current one, etc.? That's the sort of thing that I use AI for. I use it at work for similar purposes when I'm trying to work out about pricing trends for consumables and that, like, oh well, how does the price on this particular material being determined? Like, is this to do with like can we map the price of petrol at the pump onto the price of like resin for polypropylene pouring and that sort of thing? That's what AIs are for, as far as I'm concerned, because I don't want to go and look up all the individual data points. But yeah, I was doing some of that in the evening, and it was like, okay, so basically the problem that I had is I was getting an absurd amount of hitching and wooer after the most recent patch dropped. And realistically, after examining what my computer was doing, the issue was just that they had sprung memory leaks. Memory leaks are endemic in Unreal Engine. They basically it will load up on shaders and then not unload the right pieces of data afterwards. Like once it's compiled all the shaders will sort of sit in a big waxy lump in your VRAM and occupy all of the available space. So if you have an old graphics card like me, you have to spill over into your system RAM, and whatever stuff the engine has to pull in order to keep the rendering of the world going is going to fill up your VRAM, spill over into your RAM, and then take up whatever space is available there. And you get the memory leak when it can't unload in timely fashion the things that it doesn't need anymore. UE is particularly bad about this, and Wua is in a sort of like a constant back engineering loop that they use. So even though, they built theirs on, UE version X, whichever version it was when they designed Wua, they constantly back engineer new engine features into the Wua engine. So their fundamental engine is sort of like a Frankenstein together version of multiple iterations of Unreal Engine. And this enables them to accomplish quite a lot with a little. However, it makes the game prone to springing memory leaks here, there, and everywhere. And the most recent patch was particularly bad. And because my computer is old, I didn't have very much RAM. I only had 16 in it. And because my graphics card is old, it only has 8. So I'm generally RAM poor. So when I looked at the pricing data on RAM, it's like basically my options were burn everything down and start over. And that's really not a good idea right now because everything is expensive. Or the short-term solution to my problem is to just grit my teeth and pay the inflated RAM prices because my platform is old enough that all of my RAM is DDR4, and because of the AI push, the legacy portion of DDR4 support got completely curtailed because all of the manufacturers for RAM chips pivoted to supporting data centers and basically ended production runs on DDR4 early. Normally, you keep a little bit of production going on a tail because, servers and that were built during the DDR4 era, which sort of terminated around 2024, 2025. They various servers that were built in the area will still need DDR4. So in bygone eras, RAM manufacturers have kept sort of like a trickle of legacy production going, which prevents prices from ballooning out of control. But since they all pivoted immediately to DDR5 for data centers, there's been a price inversion, and the price of DDR4 has gotten incredibly inflated. It only is proceeding to inflate over time because the demand is not going anywhere because servers were still built, but the supply is drying up. So basically, the prediction of the price trend based on what I had the AI look up for me was that actually there's no reasonable case to be made that you're going to see any substantial dips in RAM pricing, and you're having trouble now. So you might as well just fix the problem if you don't plan to upgrade everything immediately. So basically, I did that. I paid a hugely inflated price for a matching RAM kit for my Extant one, and then jammed it into my PC. And after a bit of fiddling around in the BIOS, basically all of my hitching problems with Woo have evaporated like they were never there to begin with. So it definitely was an Unreal Engine memory leak problem.
Yeah, in single player games, fans are usually quick to crap out an INI file for every patch of a game that plugs the memory holes and gets the game to run smoother in Unreal games. Can't use that in Woo though. It's got the anti cheat DRM built into it. Got to connect to them servers and verify files. Like it's not gonna work. Um. So yeah. But
Yeah, so
UE's
that was my
infamous for
woo
that.
for the week, basically. Yeah, Unreal Engine is just it's notorious for springing memory leaks. I mean, it's got a lot of good features. Like it's a well loved engine by developers in various quarters because of its flexibility and power. However, it's an optimization nightmare,
Yeah.
and the more features you incorporate, the worse that the nightmare gets.
So many places for the engine to get hung and start having shoes and start springing leaks.
Yeah, yep. But I mean, it does allow you to accomplish some pretty gorgeous vistas, like you can see throughout Woo. It's got lots of nice looking places. But
Yeah.
yeah.
All
So the next, gone.
all of Clair Obscur was made in UE5 with UE5 with a big chunk of it is just modified UE5 stock assets too because they didn't have enough people to do their stuff.
They had a dog.
They did. He stole shoes and chewed on people's feet and became Minoko in the game.
But anyway, the next thing that I'm going to be looking at is updating my graphics card, which will have an attendant update to the power supply unit since, well,
Modern
it didn't
graphics cards
basically
.jpg.
yeah, partly that, but also partly that things didn't really go the way people expected in the graphics card market in a variety of ways. And one of those things is that actually the escalation in the amount of power graphics cards required hit a cap rather than continuing to spiral ever upward. Like it's probably going to continue to spiral ever upward if you buy like a 5090 or 6090 or 7090 as these things move forward. That class will probably spiral ever upward, uh, to the limitations of cable spec and so on. But in the mid-range classes where normal people live, or normal people lived up to about 2 generations ago, power more or less capped out, and so it's actually you can actually, oh well, I will upgrade my power supply and that will give me future proofing is now a thing,
Yeah.
as opposed to just leaving it because you could scale infinitely.
If you're not
So that was
using
why I gone.
if you're not using the top end cards, it seems like 1,000 watt modular power supply will be more than enough to keep you going as long as you're not
If
getting the
a
90s.
thousand is massive overkill now. People
Is it?
expected that you would need to go for 1,000.
Is it?
That was the expectation 4 years ago. Was that you would, if you wanted to future proof for like a reasonable amount of time, you would need to go 1,000 plus. But that didn't turn out to be what happened. After the 40 series generation, pretty much everything leveled off. So basically, my power supply is only just shy of what I would need if I was to upgrade like multiple generations. I'm like only just a little bit below. So I've currently got a 650 in there, which is fine. And you could probably run a graphics card of the current generation of my sort of tier on that just fine. The problem is that what happened with the power is not that the base power draw went up. The problem is where the spikes happen. Um, Basically, power draw got way spikier, way more unstable, and so that's why you need a really high output power supply for the top range, because the spikes in power draw will like treble how much power is being drawn by your graphics card, maybe for only some milliseconds at a time, but it
Mhm.
will happen. And that can cause major problems. So even though the graphics card, the power supply unit that I have can probably run an upgraded graphics card, there's a chance that it's just going to stop working at random because it's just run out of capacity to supply for it through a spike. So basically what's happened is that I need a little bit more headroom. So rather than doing a generational update, it's actually more feasible for me to do an incremental update to target the sort of approximate area that graphics cards in the mid-range normally work in. So yeah, I can probably, field a modest upgrade for, a couple hundred New Zealand dollars to just shore up that problem, probably for a few generations to come, the way things are currently looking. Um, that's not the problem, of course, with graphics cards. The problem with graphics cards really is the price,
Yeah.
because the price is bonkers. And the
And
price is not stopping getting bonkers because GPUs were bonkers before the RAM shortage.
yeah, I I have also been considering grabbing a new case and a new GPU because my case is too small to fit 50 series in. Just because I don't, even if we come out of the RAM apocalypse, GPU prices are going to take forever to come down, and I'm coming up in about a year and a half on the time I would normally upgrade. But I might be able to extend the life of everything if I just get a new case and a new.
So I've built a new rig entirely every 4 years, roughly.
Yeah, thereabouts.
This is the 4 year mark, and it is not feasible to build another one. Like the prices are too volatile right now. Like it's not like I don't have money. I could just force the issue if I wanted to, but like that's not necessarily a good idea because the market is so like we're sort of in uncharted territory as far as the product stack is concerned for most manufacturers. And my 4 years ago rig has a lot of strong points, like for its era, like the particular 12th generation CPU, uh, 12th generation Core i5 I've got has a really good memory controller, meaning it can use DDR4 beyond the limits of what earlier generations could, and which gives it sort of like a lot of longevity um, as a platform, despite the fact that it's limited to DDR4 in my current build. So there's without like a total rebuild into the latest gear, which is sort of crazy expensive. There's not it's just not really justifiable to upgrade. Graphics cards will expand your headroom somewhat. However, you have to sort of think about, are you going to ram into to CPU bottlenecking at this point? Like there's a lot of people who think that just upgrading your GPU is the panacea for all things. But if your GPU doesn't sound like a jet engine all the time, upgrading your GPU is going to do sweet bugger all for you.
Yeah, you'll get
Unless the primary direction of your upgrade is to expand your VRAM, in which case you might get more mileage out of it because there's a little bit more speed due to the direct GPU board access rather than having to go through your CPU memory controller, which is more likely to bottleneck you on the CPU side.
yeah. I have wondered about that as well myself. My GPU. When did the Ryzen 5 come out? 5600X. Let's see. How old are we? 2020. So yeah, my CPU is 6 years old, and it's performed fine and hasn't been the bottleneck portion of anything yet. But it is, that's 6 year old CPU. It's coming up on the point where if I upgrade the graphics card, I won't be able to go any higher without replacing the CPU. In fact, I probably should consider replacing it. But at that point, we're in
Yeah.
full new rig territory, and that's yeah.
Well, there's a lot of other things involved as well. Like I said, specifically the 12th generation Core i5 has a very, very strong memory controller. If it was the 11th or the 13th generation, the math may or may not be different in terms of how much longevity that particular series has, because the fact that it's got a strong memory controller means that I can get more mileage out of a lower VRAM graphics card than I might have otherwise. However, if you're going to buy a new one, you're going to want to look at, well, you need to sort of keep in balance leveraging the capacity of a future GPU, because I'll revisit the question in 6 months and then again in 12 months to see, have there been any market trends appearing that show the vector that we're heading along. And yeah, so I since I don't have a very high tech graphics card, I've got quite an ancient and not very good one.
You got like a
There's a
30
lot of
series, don't you?
yeah, I've got a 30 series, like an early 30 series, 3070 sort of thing. Quite old, quite bare bones, I would say. It doesn't have very many features because it was all I could afford, and that would not, the amount of money I spent on it would not even buy me into the market on a 50 series. So because the prices have all jacked up by 50%, because New Zealand's a small market and we get hit way harder than larger markets as prices increase, because nobody can afford to hold inventory unless it's like moving like hotcakes, and nothing is moving like hotcakes right now.
I wonder if it would be cheaper for me to buy a GPU for you, and then you just send me the money, and then I ship it to you.
But then I have to trust FedEx.
I will use UPS, not the USPS, but Brown.
But yeah, it's like if I were to try and buy, like, if I were try and update my GPU to sort of like, okay, so future proofed version of what I've currently got. Okay, so I'll probably have to bump it up to a TI because the distribution of RAM is not good on the 5070 series. So I'd have to go for a 5070 Ti. We're looking at 1900 New Zealand dollars. The 3070, and this was at a time where GPU prices were high, cost me around about $900. So we're talking $1,000 increase.
Let's see. Okay, the dollar to New Zealand dollar ratio is quite ridiculous right now at 1.75 New Zealand dollars to one US dollar. So let's look at a. If you're doing this, you want to get as much VRAM as possible. Let's go with a 5070 Ti graphics card, 10 gigabyte. So, okay, I do get a better deal, and it actually would be cheaper if I just bought it and sent it to you. Because if you don't get the Asus ones and you stick with like the MSI or the PNY ones, they're
No,
around
not
seven.
PNY. Avoid PNY. It's not safe.
Yeah, so if you get like the
Their quality control is non-existent.
yeah, so the MSI one is the good one. It looks like the Ventus one is $1,050 US. So that would translate into around uh, a little about 1,800 for you in your money.
Why is everything so crazy, man?
I don't know.
But but yeah, so but basically, it's something that I'm looking at, but I'm not in a hurry to do it really. So it's going to be a question of, well, uh, we'll see if there's a special. Sort of what I'm hoping for is that AMD will remember that it's supposed to be competing and will enter the market with something that prompts Nvidia to do a refresh of some kind, like say release like a um 5070 Ti Ultra or whatever, because they haven't used any Ultra names yet. And in that case, basically what is likely to happen, because like I said, small market means no carrying capacity for excess stock, they will try and dump the extant 5070 Ti stock in order to bring in the refresh
Yeah.
as that part of their line. So there will probably be a small sort of discount will emerge at that point. That's what I'm sort of hoping will happen. But because basically this will, in conjunction, I will have to buy a bunch of things like power supply unit will need to be bought. I'll need to there's a discrepancy in sort of like board size of like the 5070 Ti series. The shortest boards are a little under 250 millimeters, so you can get quite short ones, but the long ones are sort of well in excess of 300 millimeters. And I think I've got about 320 to 330 millimeters worth of space in my case. So yeah, I think my current one is about 290 millimeters. So yeah, it's there's a lot of factors going into it because I don't really want to replace my case. Replacing a case for me is like, this is a signal you're building a whole new rig, because it's too much work to gut everything out and then put it back together. But I'll probably have to buy a new monitor as well, since my monitor is also an old model. It's large, but it's old. It's not very up to date. It's got a good refresh rate, not a great one by modern standards. It's like 165 or something, but it's only 1080p, so it's not even at 1440 level. So if I'm going to get a new graphics card, I need to leverage it. So it would be probably time to upgrade to a 4K monitor, or if the prices are bad at that point, probably a 1440 instead. We'd see in context. But basically, the project kept ballooning and ballooning, so I decided to stop at RAM for now. And the RAM had a real tangible benefit. Everything is now quite smooth. I don't have the hitching problems that I used to. It's all working quite nicely. Anyway, that was all done in service of Woowa. As of end of last week, beginning of this week, I suppose you could put it. So after the last show, I did Lucilla's story. Although it's sort of a bit not quite really right to call it Lucilla's story, because realistically she didn't get as much of the limelight as I felt she ought to have. I mean, I know we've seen a lot of her. You've got sort of a good grasp at this point in the story of the sort of person she is, although the fact that she's a chronic day drinker is not something that was covered up until this point. Um, but yeah, I did like the story, despite its relative brevity. I did like the story quite a lot. I felt like it was important in a lot of ways, to maintaining the sense of verisimilitude that Star Torch Academy has. Like the story makes sense in a way that a lot of particularly more sort of pulpy high fantasy stories might not bother to address directly. Uh, the consequences of victory, basically, is what the story is about. Because I mean, the Star Torch Academy was founded for a particular reason, which was the threat of the Threnodian Aleph One. And if Aleph One is no longer a threat, what becomes of the Academy? And that's the thrust of the main story. And it's a very important one to everybody involved. It's quite critical, in fact. Uh, if everything continued regardless, then it would put a pretty significant dent in the verisimilitude of Lahairoi as a locale within the game. And this is something that Wuwa has addressed with some regularity, and this is sort of like an iteration on the previous sort of things that we've seen where you get sort of slightly off-screen updates on how things are going in Raguna now that the Order has basically been more or less discredited. Their
Yeah.
credibility is pretty much in the gutter after the whole Imperator thing. And how is the Order coping with this? How are the people of Raguna coping with this? How is Phoebe coping with this? Since she, she's the Order's strongest soldier in a lot of ways, and
Girlfriend read
ultimately
those.
ended up being God.
Girlfriend led those troops like a champ in the finale.
Ultimately, she ended up being the one that they all turned to in the end because she was the most sincere and wholehearted adherent that they had in amongst the clergy, who wasn't, just chiefly mired in political dealings. And so when they needed to reinvent themselves from a moral theological perspective, what they needed was an example of somebody who embraced the ideals without, being either deep enough into the esoterica to be a Threnodian worshipper or deep enough in the political machinations to be just a politician. But it mostly happens off screen, and you get periodic updates from various people who are involved, tangentially or more so. In this case, they just devote a segue to dealing with the problem at the nub of the thing. After all, Star Torch Academy is a heavily financialized venture with multinational interests, and this also acts as a certain segue into the 4.x story. That if the rumors are correct, that 4.x is going to be basically based in the New Federation, because the New Federation has managed to pretty much seize control interests of Star Torch Academy, probably by shady means. Certain amounts of leverage have probably been applied over the other nations because it is a multinational interest, but the only interest at the table appears to be the New Federations, except for our boy Alto showed up, which was
Very funny.
this is the first time that I have suffered from secondhand embarrassment playing Woowa.
I don't know, that guy's got some moves. That dude that greeted him when he came in on the bike.
The amount of cringe that just poured out of the monitor towards me, I was not able to withstand it, and I did physically flinch.
We got some good faces out of it though.
We sure did. Also, I was extremely rustled, as usual. I was extremely rustled by the fact that they included Chisa, and her line was to say she didn't know anything that was going on and had no opinion.
But I saw the funniest picture from the crossover event that I thought you would appreciate. I gotta find it. We got Chisa in the crossover event. You just didn't notice her. Oh, I'll send it to you in a message instead of posting in live show chat. See, she's right there.
At any rate, I was rustled. Like, don't they know that there's this contingent of extremely loyal Chisa warriors, of which I am one, who send feedback every single patch. I know that I'm not the only one because there's like a cluster of these people on social media who all we ever do is whinge about there not being enough Chisa in the patch. And then there's another cluster of people who spend all their free time laughing at the Chisa people for being fans of quote potential woman unquote. Um, but regardless, I was incredibly nettled that they went out of their way to include her, saying that she didn't know anything and had no opinion, which is worse than her not appearing at all.
Yeah,
I don't know why they felt the need to do that. Like that felt like a direct poke in the eye with a sharp stick. But they did do that, and I don't understand it, but they did do that. Anyway, moving on.
I
The story I did enjoy.
yeah,
Go on.
I thought it was good. Also, while you were talking about the PC stuff, I put together just for funsies to see what it would be like. What the cost of building a new PC is in US dollars, a current top of the line PC, and converted that to New Zealand dollars. $4,692.
You see, I don't really want to spend that much. It is not that I couldn't. It is that I just don't want to. It is not a good idea.
Yeah, I don't want to spend 2.6K in US bucks on a PC.
Yeah, just looking at what you've put on there, it's actually an extremely good parallel to my current system. Like if I were to just bump my system up, that's almost exactly what I would probably pick.
Yeah.
Some of these things are literally just the updated versions of what I'm currently using, with the exception, of course, that I would probably never spend money on a DVD version of Windows, and I probably would build Intel again. Not necessarily. I'm amenable to switching to AMD, but the um aftermarket cooling gear is better for Intel. The memory controllers tend to be better on Intel. General overall performance on Ryzen cores tend to be better though these days. Although that can shift back and forth in a generation.
Hmm.
Ryzen's been performing really well on that lately though, and Intel has issues. But like at Computex this year, basically the only thing that Intel was really interested in presenting in their keynote was their Xeon processors, which is like, you've forgotten there's a consumer market, haven't you? Because Xeons are just they're for server farms.
Yeah.
But they did present their new mobile thing for their new sort of Steam Deck competitor, but honestly, I've never really been interested in that.
Yeah. If you're gonna get a
But
mobile gaming device, the Steam Deck is still king. Even that now that it's getting old, it still can't beat it. Plays everything you need it
well,
to.
it's got the closest thing that you're going to get to first party support on a PC.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, I felt like the Woowa story, they really stuck the landing. There's a lot of uh sort of like they managed to really deliver on the sort of the emotions and passions of the students and the teachers involved, and their desperation to demonstrate that what they had been doing all this time had value, that it wasn't all for nothing just because the Exostride is now gone. Like it was all very poignant. It was all like, I mean, if you've spent a lot of time in academia like me, then it becomes sort of even stronger because, like, as somebody who has done research in an academic setting at great length, the feeling of everything has just gone completely pear shaped. Was any of the effort I put in really meaningful when nothing came out of it in the end? Like, that's a very familiar feeling to an academic, because it's like if you work in academia doing research, you're going to run into that. It's inevitable. There are probably virtually no academics in the world who haven't just ran face first into the brick wall of everything just failed. It didn't go the way you wanted, and nothing you've got seems usable. Nobody's interested in hearing about your failures. Nobody's interested in hearing about what you didn't accomplish. So what am I supposed to do now? How am I supposed to find a path forward? Like, it's a very, very real feeling. But and they I feel like they delivered on it really well, and they really landed the idea of Lucilla's sincerity as well, which I think was something that was kind of needed because she's been sort of like a fairy flitting around at the edges of the story for the most part, and it's sort of like her sincerity has always been kind of hard to gauge because she's never directly engaged with what's taking place and seems to act in a sort of semi Machiavellian way a lot of the time. But they do a good job of establishing no, the reason she behaves this way is because there is nothing she cares about more than her students.
Yeah, they did a good job showing the past personal investment she has and why she's so gung ho to support the kids. Like, I think
I mean,
they.
fortunately, they did insert Chisa again later, only briefly, and only to give a very superficial amount of commentary on something. However, she did get some lines.
Mm-hmm.
Line count for the next patch for Chisa is 4. So yeah, I'm still rustled. And I will continue being rustled indefinitely. I don't have any intention of stopping being rustled until Chisa gets a reasonable amount of screen time. Which is never going to happen. Anyway. So yeah, sucks to be Chisa, I guess. Sucks to be a Chisa fan, I guess. I don't feel any less like sixing her though. The next time her banner comes up, I'm gonna have to grit my teeth all over again. Like nothing has changed. I feel the same degree of urge to S6 Chisa that I ever did.
I'm in danger of the
I
next
survived
Peeb
the
banner.
banner, but
I'm in big danger of the next Peeb banner.
yeah, because you're in an even worse position than me because you spent your coral, didn't you?
Yeah, and
I still have 2 in the chamber.
yeah, and Peeb. The chances of Peeb getting more reruns goes down the longer
Peeb
the
is the queen of reruns.
she is currently. Her and Shisa are the two queens of reruns, so it's very probable we'll have another opportunity in the near-ish future. But yeah, gaming budget for that month ain't looking good. Whatever month that is, I may have to just get it done.
After I went to so much effort, I had to exert so much willpower for your sake, and then all of a sudden, you decide it doesn't matter anymore.
Well, it hasn't. It's not locked in yet, and you'll likely get another Chisa banner before I get another Pete banner. Or they'll probably no. What's going to happen? They're going to come out at the same patch, and we're both going to go, "Oh no!" There'll be a Peeb Chisa rerun.
I mean, it could happen. The timings would line up. But yeah. So moving on, they have announced the next whatchamacallit, this coming Friday is the live stream discussing the new patch for Woowa that will be coming out, where we will be returning to Huanglong but going to another one of the cities, and meeting up with our girl Yap Yap again. Only her evolved form, I guess. It's a bit you could say it's a bit sort of cultivation or a bit shonen perhaps, that she's gone through an evolution in power, but
Become more chicken.
some of the sort of the bits and pieces of sort of like background text in that I've seen suggest that basically she was just trying to she basically was just trying to get to grips with her power and delved a little bit too greedily and too deep and sort of went into a sort of coma for a while where she was pretty much drowning in the data that she was getting through her resonance because remember her thing is that she can read the wind basically, but it turned out that it ran a lot deeper than she thought, and she was able to read the wind a lot more keenly than she had sort of assumed up until this point. And when she totally lost herself to it, she totally lost herself for a while there. But yeah, so she's going to come back in her evolved form, and her sister is going to appear as well, and they are going to be the two characters in the next patch banner. They're going to be the two new premium ones. First Yang Yang, then Susu. Um, there are also going to be 4 other characters that are going to be run, um, being Carlotta and Cantarella and Rochia and Brandt.
Little and Brant.
But yeah, so I'm rather looking forward to it, and all of the characters that are coming out, all of the characters that are coming out that don't have penises, appeal to me in terms of aesthetic. So it's going to be a rough back end of version for me because I want to pull on the everything. Um, but we'll have to see how it goes. This is sort of like last stop before New Federation when the aesthetic will change. So for all I know, none of the New Federation characters will appeal to me. They're all going to be blonde cheerleaders or something. Um,
I'd be fine with
so
that. More Linnaeus. More. More.
well, you say that, but the current rumor is that the last 3.x character is going to be the one that introduces us to the New Federation storyline, and that it's going to be another blonde. It's going to be another lady with spectro pistols, and if they're blonde as well, that basically means Linnaeus twin sort of thing. Um, but yeah, I don't know why they think that what we really need is more spectro pistols, but I guess it's in vogue at the moment
Does it
to have spectro
frazzle?
pistols. Well, there's no information on that. Like that it is tentatively Spectro Pistols is the only information we have, and it might just be that Spectro Pistols is sort of like a default slot filler in the database because there are already 2 of them, sort of thing. Um, but yeah, so they've drip marketed the bulk of the characters. I mean, based on last time, they didn't drip market everyone. Like we didn't have any information about Danya from the get go, for instance. But the characters that they've drip marketed are the first 2, Yang Yang and Yang Yang's sister Suisui. So Yang Yang is going to be Sword Havoc. Basically, it switches between stance. Has one sort of like low end stance that is basically what you do to build resources for your higher end stance, and your higher end stance is the one that gives you a whole pile of buffs and allows you to chew up stacks of Havoc Bane in order to fuel even more buffs, sort of thing. So she's a Havoc Bane character who can apply Havoc Bane but wants to be assisted by another Havoc Bane applicator, ideally. Cough, Chisa, cough. So that there is more fuel for the fire, as it were. Her animations are aesthetically a little bit different, but relatively similar choreography wise to her parallel in Punishing Grey Raven, who I think is also named Lucia because everybody has to be named Lucia these days.
Everybody's a
I can't
Lucy.
remember exactly.
Everybody's Lucy
Yeah,
Goosey.
there's just Lucy everywhere. But yeah, her sister, on the other hand, seems to be based on early information that from the closed beta, although I think they've gone through one cycle of buffs and nerfs so far. She's she's like Mornier in the sense that she's a generalist support with a slant towards particular teams. In this case, a slant towards attack scaling debuff teams, which means that mainly Yang Yang and Hyuki, somewhat less Ameth, because Ameth doesn't consume buffs in a way that works very well with Suisui's kit. Not really with Kartathea because of Kartathea deciding that she needs to be the 1 HP scaling um, DPS
1 HP
currently in the
scaling
game.
character in the game. Like, I think Baizi's the only other one.
No, Shorekeeper does.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Shortkeeper does.
I mean, she mainly scales with energy regen, but she does scale with HP a bit. But
And
yeah,
PB doesn't eat the Frazzle stacks. She wants them to keep getting bigger.
Well, Zani does, doesn't she?
She converts them. I don't, and because Zani's weird, I don't know if it'll count.
Yeah, Zani was created before there were rules about this kind of thing.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, so both of those I'm keen to pull on because I have a certain sentimental attachment to Yang Yang. Like I read all of Yang Yang's letters that she sends Rover in the post. Um, I sort of feel bad if I don't because they're so heartfelt. um, but yeah, and it's always a good idea to pull on a character like Susui. You generally can't go wrong. You don't never know when you want to use that. And of course, I have a Fusion Burst team and I have a Glacio Chafe team. And if I pull Yang Yang, then I'm also going to have a Havoc Bane team, in addition to Chisa being my favorite and a Havoc Bane applicator and stack extender. So basically, my current roster makes Sui Sui very, very optimal in a lot of ways. So the both of them are going to get some pulls. Fortunately, the secondary banners, there's nobody I need to pull there. Carlotta just doesn't have great wave bands. I mean, she's the 2.0 character. So the wave bands were just not as strong back then, not as decisive, and they definitely didn't have the same degree of like mechanic creation and modification that they do these days. Um, Moving on to the next patch is going to be
What are the
well
reruns
the patches.
for 3.1 that are leaked? Carlotta.
Pardon?
Who were the leaks? Carlotta. I think there was
Grant
one.
Boccia, Cantarella,
Right,
Carlotta.
right, right. Cantarella. Since the Lucilla pulls went so well, and we don't have Augusta coming up next patch.
Are you going to do it? Terrible idea.
Look, Sigrika is a very tiny girl who needs support from the big mommies.
This is turning into a Huohuo situation
Yes.
where Huohuo is surrounded by all of the big sisters.
Mm-hmm. And I have made the jokes enough that the meme is starting to leak over.
At some point, you got to put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah, and I will be able to walk around on stream and show everybody just how much that momentum is perpetual, and we could hook those things up to batteries and have infinite power.
Anyway, yeah. So those sub banners are not confirmed. I don't think yet. The fact that it's going to be Yang Yang and Susu first time round is kind of confirmed because they've drip marketed them. However, the accompanying banners they are leaked at this stage. I don't think that they've come right out and confirmed them. That's something that will be reserved for the stream next week, most probably. But yeah, so they did all of their drip marketing throughout the rest of the current chapter. So we do have, clarity on who's coming out going forward. Or at least in as much as we did previously. It's one of those things where, we thought we knew all of them when they did all the previews at the beginning of this chapter, and then it turned out that actually we didn't know about it, the characters that they didn't want us to know about, period end, because apparently they've got, passable information control compared to some. Um, but yeah, the ones after the next patch, um, the ones following on from 3.5 are their position that people have rumored them to come out in, and the next sort of set of patches has varied a lot. It has not been very concrete. They've shuffled backwards and forwards depending. Um, but we do have a sort of like crude knowledge of what they're going to be. So the next two in the most recent set of information have been well, the next one that we know the most about is the penis haver. I guess we've got to come right out there and say that. Who is the
The
next
So regroup your polychrome
HP
banner.
scaler. Yeah, I mean that's the biggest strength of male characters is that you can save your premium currency, which is always the tough tough part is having enough currency to survive these intense periods.
Especially when
But
you want to get rerun characters.
yeah, that's also true. Like, because I still would like to get wave bands for Hiyuki. That was what I was originally saving wave bands for. But I mean, if a Chisa banner came along, she would probably end up sniping them because Chisa. But yeah. So there are going to be in addition to whatchamacallit echoes for Susu and Yang Yang, there are already echoes on the books for um characters beyond that, namely Jingran and Qingxiao. So Jingran is the penis haver. He's the new HP scaler. He's a claymore wielder, fusion element, um, based around shield application, based around HP scaling damage, believed to be sort of like a frontline damage character. Not really any more mechanical information than that. It doesn't seem yet like he really slots into any teams. He just seems like a generic damage hypercarry at this stage based on the scant information available, which is odd because that's sort of out of step with the way they've developed most characters recently. But maybe they're going to like jam Tune Rupture or Tune Strain in there somewhere. It wouldn't be too hard for that to be the case based on how little information we have. Um, Various different characters have been rumored to be occupying the next slot, but most of the current ones say it's going to be Qingxiao, and Qingxiao is depending on who you ask, Broadblade or sword. In her promotional art, she looks like she's wielding a sword, but that could be part of her forte rather than the weapon she actually carries, because the weapon you carry in Wuwa doesn't seem to matter a whole lot. Uh, you carry whatever weapon you feel is aesthetically pleasing, and then use whatever your forte says. But yeah, Qing Shao is like the leader of a martial sect. She may or may not be the leader of the sect that Jianshin and Buling are part of. Hard to say, but she's a one standard unit Xianxia Thousand Swords archetype. So she's probably going to have a move set very reminiscent of what we have seen in say Ye Guang and ZZZ, except she's Ero, and her current leaks say that she's Tune Strain. So as Ero Tune Strain, she's basically the non-penis having version of Luke, and will slot straight into a Luke team instead of Luke. Which makes her like a surefire pull for me because I have all the characters I need to run that team too, except Luke. So yeah, just more Asterite tax. Swimming is also coming out sometime around that, believed probably 6.7-ish. And swimming is believed to be a support. She's the part of the umbrella wielding red-haired twin tail contingent. So alongside Yuzuha. The rumors say her sort of animations are kind of water themed, but that doesn't really say much about her actual element because there's no wood element in Wuwa. But the rumors currently say that she is some type of echo buffer. Is there an ecocentric like shorekeeper equivalent in the game?
No, no,
I can't remember.
like a pure support. No,
Yeah, like a hard support that's focused on supporting echo.
the closest you get is Cantarella.
Cantarella's I classify Cantarella more in sort of the Chisa end of the scale where she's sort of like split between a sub DPS and a support.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's the closest you're gonna get. It's like she does have some healing in the kit, but it's not Shorekeeper or Mornier level, and she buffs echo stuff and increases raw echo counts, but that's it's not it's very much focused on being a sub DPS, setting up the field and doing all her floaty bouncy nonsense inside the bubble, being the sub DPS there.
So it's feasible that she's a support for Echo gameplay because the only thing we have about her kit is Echo related. That's pretty much it. Um, and then rounding it off is the last one that's likely to come out, Sin. Um, she is one of the 7 Sentinels of Huanglong, based on what we were told way back in 1.x. And because there are 7, of which the only one we've actually met is Yue. And she is one of them. It would be the first time they have straight up made a Sentinel themselves a character. So it's sort of interesting how they're going to handle that. And what makes it more interesting is the amount of information control that they have put around her kit, where there are leaks for every other character. The leakers have said that there's absolutely no way of dredging up any information about Shin. They've just kept it completely under wraps. So it could be that she's going to be sort of like main push tier, like Cartathea and Amith, like just the big flashy one, basically, which would fit with her being a sentinel. We don't really know anything about her other than, you can see a Star Torch student praying to her at one point, presumably one of the ones from Huanglong, because she's revered as a goddess. But don't really know if she's a good goddess or not. Like, depending on which sort of parts of mythology you look at, her sort of like astrological alignment is like, there are some stories historically that identify her with Wu Zetian, the infamous tyrant. But yeah, we don't really know much about her. There's a little bit of information floating around about Electro Rover. It's not very clear, other than that it's Electro Flare centric, and so most people are speculating Sin would be as well, and that the two will work together the way Aero Rover and Cartathea do. But that's sort of like you're going a little bit far in the direction of raw speculation at that point. I've seen some pretty cool footage of Rover's gameplay, the new Rover's gameplay, and he has a fundamental move set, but he also has the ability to use moves from all of the other Rovers as well. Like, I've seen Electro Rover use the sort of Spectro spinny sword thing, and I've seen him do sort of like the scythe blitz, and I've seen him do the sort of the diving arrow attack as well, all while doing lightning abilities. So there is some way that you can incorporate the other resonances with the electro form, but details are really unclear on that. All of the leaked kits I've seen don't mention it in any great detail, but you can see it in the footage that is visibly doing that, the leaked footage. So yeah, very interesting. Looking forward to seeing how that all works. I like the way all of the characters are designed aesthetically. Like, they all appeal to me. So I'm very keen to pull for them, especially if we just end up in tacky cheerleader territory next region. Who
Uh,
even knows?
our positions will be flipped if that is the
So,
case.
well, I mean, if I have to go into debt pulling all of these characters, and then I can just save Asterite next region, then that's fine. I'll do that, I guess. Um, but yeah, I like, one of the reasons why I have a much more positive opinion of the Shansho chapter of Star Rail is because I've always loved sort of like what you might call Jade Punk. Sort of the idea of sort of a technology branch that grew out of Chinese geomancy instead of out of conventional technological development. I've always thought that's cool, and it looks like the new era is sort of like heavily based around that type of aesthetic. So I'm really looking forward to it. So yeah, that's Woo-Wah coming down the pipeline. June 26th in the evening is the next stream. Speaking of streams, Genshin just did theirs, showing what is going to be in Luna 8. I feel like we can put to bed any suggestion that there's no push and pull between Miliastra Wonderland and Genshin proper, because this time there was like a massive amount of like footage of Genshin proper and like 3 minutes worth of Miliastra Wonderland just sort of randomly tacked on the rump of the stream being like 40 minutes long.
Mm.
So yeah, they just like, oh, by the way, Miliastra Wonderland still exists. Moving on. Yeah, but the stream showed a lot of footage of various things, mainly covering story stuff. There's the new main story is basically a new main story and main event, because it's one of those more event centric ones. Takes place in Fontaine because of the film festival again. The film festival being the event that we missed just before we came back to the game. But this time it is featuring Charlotte, who's playing the lead of a light novel adaptation. And when Sitlali found out that her favorite light novel was being adapted, she came to see the festival. So Sitlali is going to appear. So Best Girl gets some screen time, and Best Girl also gets a new outfit. However, her outfit is an unbelievably frou-frou set of pajamas, basically. But I'll probably end up getting suckered into getting it because Sitlali Best Girl. But yeah, it looks like a fun little event, and it's got a whole bunch of other stuff involved. It reminds me in some respects of the fishing event from Woo-Wah, in that you've got to help populate an aquarium as part of the event, and you have to basically do that by swimming around in Fontaine and capturing sea life. And while capturing sea life, dredging up a bunch of various collectibles, which in another mini game you will be attempting to sell to the people who are coming to the aquarium as souvenirs, by the looks of things. Yeah, so there's a whole bunch of different little mini games baked into the event per usual. And the other big lobe of content is the summer event. And the summer event seems to basically be, well, at first, for starters, it's a big summer event. This time, I can't remember what the rules were for it last time, but this time, not only is the whole area for the summer event going to persist, but the whole quest line will as well, until you decide to go and do it. So it's a proper permanent event that can be attempted at any time this time around.
Oh, okay. So kind of like when they plot Bennett's Zone.
Yeah.
So I think
this one
that
appears
counted
to
as
be
the summer event for Atlan.
Yeah. This time is going to be focused on tying up all of the remaining threads that remain from the Kreuz Ordo. So I have to go back and finish that plotline before the event. But it gets a bit tails because we are going to the moon again. Turns out that the Frost Moon was pretty much entirely retrofitted by the Dragons as an outer space installation type of thing, and giant space weapon. And you basically you go up to explore that, basically following Columbina up there because Columbina wandered up there to see something because something felt wrong to her or something like that type of thing. It's sort of like implied that Sandrone was sort of like one of the last components in a big scheme involving that as well, because it's pretty clear that the Narcissus Kreuz Auto were crazy, and they had extremely long-reaching plans, some of which involved the moon. and you can get that much based on Fontaine quests, but I don't know how the story ends because I never got all the way through it after spending hours and hours because holy crap, it's a sprawling storyline.
Yeah,
But
I that storyline was so big and so long ago. Unfortunately, unvoiced for how important it is, and I just do not remember for as much of it as I
yeah,
would like to.
well, I did it quite recently, and it was so complicated that I couldn't remember because there's so many different branches that all weave together into the one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, with the robot dog and that sort of the talking water thingy floating around
The not
and the
hilichurl.
caterpillar guy. Yeah, like I don't. It was just very complicated, and I didn't finish it. But yeah, I'll probably have to go back and finish it now. But yeah, so there's basically that. Um, so yeah, it looks like it's absolutely packed with content, and in exchange, Milliestra Wonderland just got an outfit or something. Look,
Yeah,
I'm cool with that. The less money they waste on Milliestra Wonderland, the better, as far as I'm concerned. There's also the buffs coming out to a bunch of random characters, mainly Cryo and Electro ones, to prepare people's accounts for being able to interact with the new reactions from Snezhnaya, and also Mizku for some reason is getting a buff, probably because it was the most flubbed 5-star launch of all time. But yeah, that's a thing that's happening. Um, yeah, it looks interesting, and of course, Sandrone is coming out. I'll probably pull for Sandrone because I like Sandrone. I think she's a charming classic tsundere character. Um, kind of snooty, but that's part of the territory. But yeah, it looks like an interesting patch. No word on them doing anything to make in-game less boring though. Like they didn't mention it at all. They didn't mention anything about launching any new domains or anything like that. We are in the last patch, of course. There are no more patches for the Luna series after this, and we will be moving on to Snezhnaya, the patch following. So they put some teasers at the end there, which was basically Fatui Harbinger's vague posting, uh,
mm-hmm.
plus some gameplay footage of Traveler being a first-person shooter character, a third-person shooter character. So I guess that's what we're doing now. Guess we'll see how that rounds up. It looks very Slavic, both in terms of like tone and music. Everything is sort of like slightly dirtier, I guess, than you might be accustomed to for the rest of the sort of the more classically high fantasy regions. But at any rate, it's all go as far as that's concerned. Now that they've had the stream, presumably there's going to be one more week, and then we'll be into the new patch. We'll see how it goes. I don't know how. I don't know if the story is designed to lead into the next region the way the Anefa one was, although it was not really that clear how the Anefa one was going to bolt on to Nod Cry, and in the end, it barely mattered in some senses. At least, like this patch is going to probably feature Sandrone quite heavily, and she is a harbinger, so she's got a reason to be there, and then a reason to be in Snezhnaya as well. So that at least makes sense. But we'll see how the story goes. The the moon region looks pretty expensive. It looks like it's at least on the scale of all the other summer ones. So, and there's various like low gravity regions. So most of it is low gravity. Some of it is flying. Some of it is the floor is lava. Some of it is like dragon technology petri dish like we found inside the volcano, etc.
As you do.
But yeah, it looks interesting. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I'm probably not coming back for it. I feel very detached from Genshin right now. Like Wuwa has filled the Genshin slot that of of the exploration game, and if I was to add Genshin back, it'd get harder to do single player stuff again, which I've enjoyed having the time to do after cutting Genshin. Uh, so I don't feel a need to boot it up and come back right now. Sandrine is okay, but I don't feel a burning desire to pull for her. And if I was to come back now, I would have to play to make the most of the returner bonus. I would feel compelled to. Um, so I'm not going to do that.
It sounds more like you're trying to persuade yourself than give any other reason. No, nobody's asking you to justify not playing a video game.
well, I'm
I'm not
just
playing Ninja Gaiden.
well, what I'm getting at is it just the big thing that would make me consider coming back would be demonstrable gameplay improvements. Uh, and uh, as much as in game is less important in Genshin, I would like the in game to get a rework just to have something there to build the characters towards.
Well,
Because
I would like to feel less actively insulted by it.
yeah, because
Like I feel like it's mocking me a lot of the time, but
if
it's. I don't think you're ever going to see general gameplay improvements. Like I think that actually cuts against what a non-trivial portion of their player base wants. I think that there's a lot of people who are bad at video games who play Genshin, and they want Genshin to accommodate them being bad.
yeah, because when I play Genshin, it's just specifically if they could do something with the in game to give it a targeted goal for what I'm building these hacking characters for, and they move away from this exclusionary garbage of their current rotations of bosses and enemy types and Spiral Abyss and stuff, because it's just like why do I even bother building these characters the point of performance when it's not needed for the open world, and and they just are not applicable aside from the one patch where they're the shill, because the shill is so hard at the end game.
Well, I mean, technically speaking, Mavweek has been the shell for every in-game since she came out. Like,
I mean,
people still clear every single Spiral Abyss with no gimmick shell if they just use Mavweek and melt and hit everything for like a bajillion damage.
yeah, I mean you can use that to brute force half of it, but yeah, it's been a pain in the butt going with that kind of stuff in Genshin. I, I'll I'll keep a passive eye on it to see if anything jumps out, but it has not hit that right now. I don't think.
Well, I mean,
Unless you,
they've adopted the position of the event is not going anywhere, so
yeah, that,
it's still going to be there when you eventually decide to dip your toe back in.
yeah. So yeah,
But yeah, I don't think I've got much else left on the docket. That's pretty much it. Because I'm excluding ZZZ to having basically not had time to do anything except the main story. I sat down and I played through it when I got home last night. I had a good time, but I don't know anything else that is going on in the game right now.
yeah. So okay. Before we segue into ZZZ talk, and my week by proxy, uh, we should probably do the email because I didn't read it, but I saw the first paragraph talks about ZZZ.
Where is my tab? Tab. Actually, I'll move this onto the other monitor. Email from our good buddy Serethus. And he says, "Dear No Excuses. Well, here we are in Roscalifer, drawn with reference material to England, the land of Bangbu and cats. In 3.0, the story moves at such a breakneck pace that the MC literally gets no sleep for 2 days. You can meet such characters as childbearing body, obvious bad guy, not one but two lollies, the rare male tsundere, and an Uma Musume. You also run into hollows that are not like hollows, but still act like horror. Still act like horrors with appearing out of. I'm not sure what a sentence is doing. Appearing out of nowhere and causing spatial distortion and ether corruption. But they are not hollows. Remember, this game was about guiding a bunch of orphans slash secret military experiments plus Anton and Ben through the back rooms while 2000s era funk pop plays, and that's not even talking about the corruption meter, or not having 3.5 seconds of iframes on skill use, or heals everywhere. No, I'm not asking for the TVs back, just ZZZ is the most changed gacha I have ever seen. Not that I have seen that many gachas, but I suspect the only thing that actually stayed from the beta vision is their character limit. Is the 3-character limit. Please proof your emails, Sarah. This is hard to read. In Genshin, we are going to the moon, baby! That's about it. But hey, this one time I pull for waifu over meta because Gothic Lolita. That's about it. And finally in Wuwa, I did a few rolls on the collab banner and got Lucy, so I have to level her too. That's about it. Farming gems from the events and not catching up with the story because I have one free weekend per month, and that time is taken up by Hoyo and Doom. And Deltarune that releases next week. And Orb of Creation because that's also releasing next week. Serathis.
Thank you for the email, Serathis. Yep. If you got
I'm
Lucy,
mystified. I'm incredibly mystified that people manage to maintain indefinitely enthusiasm for Deltarune.
yeah. I mean, it
It's the
has.
most aging millennial title of all time.
Yeah. It, uh, my Zoomer cousin and his girlfriend were talking about video games, and they were mentioning how they got into Undertale in middle and high school, and I just felt so old. It physically hurt, and
That's because you are old, Aristeel.
I know we're approaching 40 now. Oh,
I'll be 40 shortly.
yeah,
Fern's already passed it, I'm
yeah,
pretty sure.
you got about 4 on me, and Fern's got about uh 1 or 2 on you. So
Yeah, I think that I think that if I was an undergrad in that era of my life, I would have found like the likes of Undertale and Deltarune incredibly charming. But now they just make me feel a little bit sick.
yeah, it does not
It's
help
like
that it's been
the
colonized
sheer.
harder than any fan base.
Well, for me, it's not even that. Like I was able to enjoy Homestuck despite the fact that Homestuck had unbelievably twisted fandom from pretty much the get go. But that was because I had absolutely no contact. Not a single tendril reached out and touched it. So I was sort of peripherally aware that there was this terrible community, but I never encountered them before. Um, so I was still able to enjoy it, but that was because of when it happened. I was an undergrad. I was like, 19 or 20 years old, something like that. And that type of entertainment still appealed to me. There's sort of like a direct correlation in that type of writing between Homestuck and Undertale and Deltarune, regardless of whether or not they want to admit it. And at this point, it's just comes across to me as kind of sickly. Like there's something hollow and impoverished about it, like and almost like a desperation trying to cover over the sort of like the spiritual gulf that has been caused by a total lack of sincerity.
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing is just very, very unpleasant to me. That all of the writing is just deeply unpleasant to me. All comes across as terribly insincere.
Yeah.
But that's just sort of like a jaded aging millennial opinion about jaded aging millennial writing.
Yeah, our generation didn't do did not do hot in the writing department for anything. I I've never been really into the Undertale Deltarune thing, only peripherally aware of it and knew some good remixes that came out from the fans and a few fan videos that were fun. But it just the because I only ever just did like a casual playthrough of the game of Undertale, that is, didn't touch Deltarune. Like that was more than enough for me. I was like, okay, yeah, that's fine, and it didn't hit me the same way it seemed to a lot of people.
Yeah, I watched a playthrough of the first chapter of Deltarune from some VTuber. I don't remember who it was. but it just came across to me as like this is all sort of like an ironic tongue-in-cheek in joke that I don't get, and more importantly, don't even feel bad about not getting. I don't want to get it because it's probably a crappy joke to begin with.
Yeah, I did get a feeling in Undertale that there was a sincerity to the writing, just a bit of twist because it's Toby writing it. But the end message of the story, because I did watch the rest of the story on YouTube, even though I didn't feel like playing through it. Watched somebody play it. Like the story of Undertale, what not a super big fan of it, but I could at least understand how people could get into it because there is something like sincerity to the writing. Deltarune, from what the little I know of it, just seems to be focused on twists and mystery between releases to keep it hyped up for the
Yeah, it's
sake
like
of
the release cycle is sort of a part of the game in a sense.
yeah,
Like it's sort of like if you consume Gacha like with a direct online engagement with the community that are sort of discussing leaks and theory crafting, maybe it's like that for them as well. Like I do look at the leaks as they come through, but mainly for the purposes of forward planning rather than actually. I never tweet. That doesn't happen. But I do, so I'm not engaged in any of these communities the way they are, where they're constantly fighting and bickering and doom posting and hype posting.
yeah. So yeah, it does seem like the entirety of Deltarune was written just prolong that hype engine effect as long as possible and keep people talking about it. Like every story chapter that whenever I see somebody play it, or I don't watch full video playthroughs, but whenever I see clips of it pop up, usually on clip compilation channel, it's always just like, yeah, okay, that's the ending of this chapter. That's just bait. Not he's done it every single time, and there's so little of the game that's known that has he can go whatever direction he wants just to troll the fans. So yeah, it's Deltarune is Deltarune. I know people like it. It's not my thing. I'm not a super duper big fan of Fox's stories that he's got going on, and his meta commentary he likes to shove into him.
I'm
So
sure he'll tune out any day now.
oh, his
They all
entire
do.
his entire community has.
I'll take your word for it. I don't know. I don't really know what their community is like.
Oh,
I prefer to not know.
it is one of the gayest on the internet. Yeah, and while I don't engage with that community, because my only interaction with Deltarune is through content that gets recommended to me on YouTube, it's like that's the front foot forward that I get. So that's why I'm probably more sour to it than you might expect, and it's just super gay all the time. So yeah,
I mean,
that's
if you're on social media, you would assume that that was the case with the Hoyo games as well. Except that it's not because China doesn't allow that kind of thing.
yeah. So yeah, let's see here. The rest of the email, yeah, we talked about Genshin. Uh, for Woodwa, you pulled Lucy. Uh, Lucy's weapon is cracked. You saw you talking about that before. Uh, like if you get Lucy, she's one of those Parlova situations where she really wants her weapon, really wants her weapon. So if you got
Why? What
the,
is it? What is it that causes that to be the case?
it's got a whole bunch of stuff special to her. Let me go to it. Like yeah, it's 30% heavy attack amp whenever you inflict hack shifting and defense ignore on the thing for heavy attacks, and flat attack buffs and resonance skill general spectral damage buff of 20%. No, 40%, sorry. and 20. So the 24% attack, 40% resonance skill, or not 40% resonance skill, 40% spectro damage for 14 seconds when you use her skill. When you inflict hack shifting, which do any of her mechanics and you get it, 30% heavy attack damage, and your heavy attacks just flat ignore 10% of the defense, and it's a crit damage weapon. Like it's like a 25% buff to her damage, overall damage. One of those crazy ones that's on the higher end.
It looks like it's a combination of things that play all into her strengths and things that she can't get in her team by
Yeah,
any other means.
yeah, defense shred and generic element amp. Not a little bit of it either. So yeah, worth considering if you got the asteroid for it, just to make her really good. I mean, you're going to be in a PvE Zani situation with her, because heavy attack Spectro is not often shield. So it'll be the team you bust out when you need to go off shill. But Spectro is an okay element to use. But I mean, I've got away with that team popping up and doing its thing multiple times. So
But the team appears not to work very well with Deer.
no, I got quite mad about the flipping deer.
I saw you molding about Deer for like an hour.
I tried to get those deer to cooperate to get the triple S. Not happening. Like even on shill, those stupid deer. Like the entirety of Whimpering Waste triple S for that team is, are the deer going to behave?
Yeah, I didn't have nearly so much trouble with it. I was able to land my triple S, but the main reason for that is that the deer are quite easy to deal with Hiyuki's damage curve, because Hiyuki's damage curve has like 3 main spikes in it across a single rotation, rather than all of her damage being backloaded or spread evenly across the whole thing. You're sort of low damage, high damage, low damage, high damage, low damage, high damage, which works really well with a lot of wave-based encounters. So you can, use a really high damage attack when you see the deer pop, and then be back at ready to use another high damage attack quite quickly when the next deer pop, and basically, use those damage spikes to get rid of problem waves as fast as possible.
Yeah, I was about to lose it with those fucking deer, so I just gave up. Said I'll take my double S and be happy, because it really was all on the deer. If the deer behaved, I got a really good score. But I needed,
There was always you would always like be ready to go, and you'd fire off your ult, and then you'd realize that one of the deer had somehow ended up behind you.
yeah. It does not help that Rebecca's ult repositions her weirdly relative to the targets in front of her. So you can wind up with one of the deer out of her machine gun, or when you're doing Lucy's rotation, if one of them just decides to bolt, and while you're doing the part that follows, because with Lucy you actually want to lead with her ult, and then do the rest of your team, and then come back into her and do her proper rotation. But I had to use them on the side that does not have Resonance Liberation available from the gate, because I forget what team I was using on the other side, but they need their Resonance Liberation up immediately to get the engine going at all. Might have been the Sonny Peep team. So so yeah, it was a pain in the butt. But I mean, Lucy's good. She's really strong. But it's you're going to be in a position with a team that just does not shield very much. Don't need to get Rebecca's weapon. Rebecca's weapon is a luxury. Any crit weapon will work for her. If you really want to, just pull on the standard weapon banner to get the pistols, the new pistols from it will work fine. But Lucy's weapon is definitely worth considering to get the most out of her, because when to make the team work, you need it to be able to really pump the numbers out, because you're never going to be on shill with it. They never do heavy attack Spectre Shell anymore. So yeah, ZZZ. This is where the vast majority of my time went this week. I should probably sit up when I'm talking about this. My voice doesn't sound like it's 50 years from the microphone. Uh, so okay. Uh, so we'll start with the story. Um, I'm assuming you played it, Serathus, since you wrote us an email about it. I liked the story. I think they did a reasonable job of meshing together, continuing the momentum from the end of 2.8 and doing an intro chapter. I thought the boss was decent. It's not their best boss they put out, but it was okay.
I'd had too many drinks by then, so I couldn't land any of the counters.
Yeah. Um, I think Billy's boss fight, uh, as a boss fight, is far more interesting and actually a good boss fight. I'll talk more about that later. Um, our resident vacuum cleaner. Uh, so yeah, it's finally time to go to Rose Califer. Rose Califer is where the Bang Boo are made. It's where Lady Sunbringer is, and all of them. And it's spends most of its time introducing you to Rose Califer and the operations of it. Um, Showing the fissures the way they are is very interesting, and that the hollow fissures that can occur in Rose Califer offer a lot of uh, opportunity within the setting to utilize maps that already exist and twist them in fun ways to make
Playing
it.
Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver again.
Yeah, pretty much. Uh, I think the new exploration zone was good that came out of these. Or I think there was two or three of them.
I
Uh,
haven't gone back to any of them, so I don't know how they continue to reflect,
yeah, they're not
or if
very
anything changes or what.
they're not very enemy dense, and they don't have the collectible stuff need them. And there's not much reason to go back after you get the initial batch of rewards there, unless a quest sends you there or something. But I liked them; they were fun uh, to go around and play with the characters in, and go exploring and solve the little puzzles. I thought all the little puzzles were decent this time. They didn't have any that were particularly annoying, and didn't break the flow too much. Any of them. I was able to do them all when I came across them, and still feel like I was on the same smooth flow through the game. Uh,
Yeah, I actually found the opposite with the last major acts, whatchamacallit, the Marcel mazes. Like, I really didn't like them. I just put them off until the very end and then did them in a batch because they were incredibly disruptive to the rest of the game experience in my mind.
yeah, but taking control of Eos and the jetpack with the little drone and flying him around to solve the puzzles, while still in the same hollow, and looking around on the map and trying to figure out where that treasure chest is, or where can Eos go? Is there anything glowing blue I can blow up to make a new path? That kind of stuff I thought was fun, and didn't break the flow. And the little terminal puzzles were never long enough to be disruptive. So I thought they did a good job there.
One thing I haven't been clear on for a while now is is Eos just sort of like hanging out, or is that is Wise actually jacked into Eos? Like, I don't actually know what's going on story wise there.
I think Eos is just hanging out most of the time because we get reactions from Eos in the cutscenes that are, if it's Wise doing that, he's got a hidden side of his personality when he jacks into the Bang Boo.
Well, I mean, like, we know that Wise was also a diehard Starlight Knight fan as a child.
Possible. So yeah, I don't. I think he's just on the comms monitoring the hollow through the HDD. But I mean, there's nothing, I guess, stopping him from jacking into Eos if he needs to.
Because I'm pretty sure he's mentioned that he used to trade off with Bell doing it, and that he was doing it more often when Bell was not doing so well.
Yeah. So yeah, we continue the storyline of figuring out what happened at Helios Academy with the twins, and get a lot more information on the event that broke down. We still don't know everything yet, but
I reckon that that character that they introduced as like storyteller or whatever looks a lot like an older version of Truvia.
yeah, could be. I could see that.
But that's just sort of like the sort of wild speculation I like to engage in very, very early on in a story.
So yeah, uh, but basically, Bell and Wise weren't the only ones being taught and experimented on by what's her face, their teacher. What is the teacher's name? I'm brain farting on it.
Carol Anna.
There you go. There were two more students, and because of a disaster, one of them supposedly died, and the other one effed off after the thing. Uh, and we don't know their current whereabouts or what they're up to. And it was and Belle blames herself for what happened. In our case, we're talking about Belle as the POV character. So if you play Wise, it'll be Wise instead. But yeah, Belle blames herself for it, and it's really setting up like they're going to pursue that as a through line for the Rose Kalifer story, to keep the story related to the proxies, which I think is good. That's the route I wanted them to take. I thought it was the most available thread that they could easily do something with, and I'm glad they're doing something with it because they've
I
had
mean,
it for too long.
realistically, I presume that what they're going with here is that there's not actually a huge amount of conceptual difference between what Carol Anna was attempting to do and what the Exaltists are trying to do.
Yeah, because Bell also gets a stand or a persona, or and it has its own brain and can think for itself. It's its own independent entity that just has been living in her head, and it's a it's a bit of a grumpy goober, and
Yeah,
I
it sort of reminded me a little bit of Bleach,
yeah
with Ichigo bickering with his hollow and who gets to be the one in charge, who is the king and who is the horse.
yeah, and so Bell can now whip him out to fight alongside him, and they have some for their ultimate. They do some really cool combo attacks that look spectacular, and a laundry list of effects on what direction you push on the D-pad, or not the D-pad, the face buttons to choose the ultimate's effect. Keep a cheat sheet up
Saving
for
grace
what?
being that there is basically nothing else in the rest of his kit.
Yeah, because it's all just managing those ultimate effects and playing with them, uh, and having the big wind up attack. So yeah, Pyrois as a character, I like what they've done for a protagonist character. Pyros is a very viable main DPS character. Like I took him into Deadly Assault this cycle, unbuilt basically with terrible discs and like level 7 or 9 on all the skills, whatever I had the chips for, because been farming for our Windy Booby lady, and yeah, he does fine. Now I used him on Marionette, the one where you kill the clones and get the bonus points. So that's not the most stress test boss out there. But the Miyabi would probably do even better, obviously. But he worked and busted Pyros out with Fufu and Astra and just went to town bopping on it.
Yeah, I get a sort of a feeling that he seems to be better at mopping up large amounts of trash and fighting bosses where you don't have to worry too much about particular damage windows,
Yeah, because it
because he cannot burst for the life of him.
no, he has
Like
that.
the only thing he can do that is burst is to totalize, and that's the only thing he can do.
Yeah, but yeah, he's real good at buffing himself. and and doing mini ultimates. So maybe characters that can play off that without, because Dylan doesn't necessarily. Number one, she's always busy with somebody else that needs her more. But his ultimate cost is so cheap that having an extra ultimate activation ain't gonna be a game changer for him. So it actually works out that Fufu's better for him right now. Because
I mean, well, this is really the only way they can counteract Dylan dominance is by having more utilitarian types of ultimates, where rather than being sort of like pivot points that, you know, put you back on top of the game, they act as sort of like long term effects.
yeah, so he works good with Fufu.
Because I mean, Dylan's strength basically derives from the extreme burstiness of the ultimate model.
Yeah, and especially with a bunch of the ultimate heavy characters they released around that time, it just it really made her value that much more. But if they go the route of more utilitarian ultimates on a lot of characters, or even just a few characters, it'll give option and reason to use the other stun characters, which is an okay compromise. It adds diversity to gameplay and makes Dylan less dominant, so that's good. I also don't really like,
And will give me more opportunities to use the very scary tiger.
yes, the scariest, most ferocious of tigers. So yeah. Uh, so yeah, I like Pyroas as a free character to give to players. I'm glad he's perfectly usable at in game. Uh, and I feel like a smooth damage curve with a toolbox ultimate is the right way to go. Fits in basically everything that's not an anomaly team or a rupture team. So so yeah, that
Well,
was,
realistically, people were in dire need of ether options.
yeah, and it does give us an ether attack option not named Zuyuan.
Yeah, because I like, even though it's true that I play Shifu a lot and Shifu is technically Ether or Auric Ink more specifically, the reality is that I don't usually play Shifu for Ether. I play Shifu for Rupture because I only have the one character to use. I'm not going to build Manato. I'm not going to pull Yadari, so I have to use Shifu wherever Rupture is called for, which means I'm not usually working in the Ether niche a lot of the time, since most of the time they aren't shilling Shifu anymore. They're always shilling Yadari instead, because they want everybody to forget what they did with Rupture before they figured out what Rupture was for, and which is apparently HP drain or something. I'm
Right?
not even sure.
It's a it's okay. Billy got both the HP yo-yo effect and the parry mechanic.
Well, everybody gets the parry mechanic these days, so that doesn't really mean anything anymore. There's no identity attached to that. But yeah, it's it gives me something that I can do to fill in the little red and blue star
Yeah,
when I eventually build it. Eventually.
yeah. So yeah, that's Pyroas. I thought his interactions in the story were golden. I liked when you first start running on the rails with him, and he just like slurps and drags Cecilia with him, and whoever else is with you. It's not important whoever else is with you. I think Windy Girl's with you because Cecilia is the one that does all the reactions in that scene, and it's so good.
Yeah, in the Japanese, Valina refers to Sissia as the mood maker.
Hmm. So you arrive at Rose Caliph.
After groping around for a while to try and think of something nice to say.
Yeah, yeah. So when you arrive at Rose Califer, and the twins have just decided that Billy and Miss Hiss are coming with them. Like they're not gonna leave them behind, because well, Billy just spent all this money on upgrades for them, and that would just be mean. And Miss Hiss would probably go hungry without the proxies to feed them at this point, and would have to return to the
Yeah,
Demon Lord.
she would be like climbing up power poles to try and raid nests for eggs or something.
Yeah, we can't have that, so we got to take her with us. And I am so glad these goobers are coming with us. because I love every second they're on screen.
It just makes me sad though for other characters that didn't get treated as well.
I know,
I any character that I like.
I know, but Miss Hiss is wonderful. And so they get to roast Kayla for this relatively a standard, new country entry form. Roast Kayla for supposed to be secret until a story event that announces, yeah, we're going to start working with the outside world because we got to have crossover events up here. We can't just use the Roast Kayla cast exclusively. So of course we got to find a way to ferry people up
You
here.
say secret, a secret in the sense that it says secret is a blimp that you park over 6th Street.
Yeah. So yeah, we needed a reason to get because Bell and Wise, because of their connection to Carolina and Booby Lady and Norma taking an interest in them, they were able to get into the city as transfer students to the Rose Califer Academy, because that's what you just do when you need to move regions in a gotcha game. You become a transfer student. Apparently.
Well, I like how they do that trope, but there's like they constantly like throughout there's constant little hints that yeah, it's a little bit ridiculous because they're like 20 odd.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because Bell and Wise are not. They're either the latest of late teens or in their early 20s.
It's like when you try and schedule a physical and the bang boo's like, but you're not underage, whatever.
Yep. And but because Bell and Wise are insistent on bringing Billy and Miss Hiss, they had to get creative with their reasons for why they need to bring them up to the city. So Billy has been registered as a general housekeeping appliance or something. Oh God, I got the screenshot. Like, I just started laughing when I saw this. High performance multifunction domestic support unit.
He's a Roomba.
He's a vacuum cleaner. But or Happy Cecilia, can't tell which, is labeled as the emotional support pet.
I mean, realistically, that is her role in the story.
That is her role in the story. And both Billy Cecilia takes umbrage at first, but Billy seems into his role as the vacuum cleaner. Like he took to that like a duck to water.
But overall, that throughout the story, it is very endearing how much the two of them make it their business to take care of Belle.
Yeah. Like there's a point not long after that where you're getting settled in Rose Califer, you're learning all the shops and exploring the town, and Belle goes to bed, and Billy and Cecilia talk to Wise and help set up a recreation of 6th Street so you can have your obligatory place you can do the video store management in gameplay terms, but in story terms it's just them trying to make Belle feel more at home because clearly everything going on is tearing her brain apart. It was just really sweet. Like, while it is sad a bunch of characters haven't got as much love, I am glad we got Cecilia and Billy. They are just rays of sunshine in the story whenever they show up, even if you know
Razor
their
would
their
be like,
IQ doesn't add up to double digits. I also like how during the story, because the Bangbu are afraid of Alina and Norma because they're the ones that have to retire them and wipe their memories when they send them back down to the surface. Uh, because the emotional support pet and the vacuum cleaner are in a better position, they can go talk to the Bangbu because Billy's already an intelligent construct. They feel closer to him, and Miss Hiss is just Miss Hiss. Like she's the emotional support pet. So they did a good job with Billy and Miss Hiss, and they're going to be around to provide uh, their appearances throughout our stay in Rose Califer, it seems, and that's good. And they use them a lot here. I imagine their usefulness will go down as the story goes, but it gives us a familiar grounding of characters from New Eridu, at least, both from all the way back in 1.0 and the last character of 2.x. Second to last character of 2.x. Uh, just uh, just keep doing stuff. So they were good. Um, I liked Norma and Booby Lady's character in the story. I liked Booby Lady more. Uh,
Yeah, Velena is premium waifu.
yeah, I like that she's looking out for Norma by being, the adult. But Norma still gets some good scenes. Most of them are in the comics, the comic strips. I got a picture where there's one picture of her in particular, uh, of how we get stuck in the Norma half of the story. Because after the introduction, uh, we need to get Norma engaged somehow because she hasn't been really involved. So we have the back half of the story with tagging along with Norma, and it opens with somebody's in the house. Oh, who's sneaking into the house? Oh, it's Norma. Why is she here? Well, she's here to recruit you for something, but she also has a little problem, and that's her hat stuck. And we get that face, and I was like, oh, that's the level of autism we're working with. Noted. And oh boy, is she autistic. Like
I
traditionally
have
autistic.
been. I was unable to determine whether or not that hat is just literally a bamboo.
It seems to. Is there a bang boo in it, or is the whole hat a boo?
I have no idea.
Because there's definitely something bang boo like that operates it when it gets thrown out, but it could just be the whole hat is a bang boo.
But those A flaps open up and there's like eyes underneath, isn't there?
Yeah,
Sometimes.
possibly.
And it's got ears.
They do have ears.
And occasionally you hear it making inna noises.
Norma makes inna noises too.
Yeah, that's the problem, is you don't really know for sure.
But yeah, she is genuinely autistic, and the event is focused on her as well. And you will get to see like just how autistic she is as you go through the event story. Like she just doesn't quite understand normal people, because in addition to being autistic, she didn't have human friends. She had bangbo friends growing up. So she is hyper work focused, loves the bangbo, wants to do everything she can for them, but just doesn't understand very well how to read even the emotions of the bangbo. Whenever emotional anything enters the equation, she has an emotional response, but it's always skewed. Like she's just a little bit derivative from what a normal functioning human would have. And they actually play this for not quite full drama, but like this is a serious quirk of her character that gets in the way and causes problems. So you'll get to see that in full display during the event. But Norma's animations are amazing. I love her animations. Her gameplay, I don't know where you're going to use her other than just like another off-field fire stunner. I don't know who she's for. Maybe
Yeah,
she
I did
pells
not
where
like
with
her
Sigrid.
gameplay at all. It was like, well, this is just more of the same, basically.
Yeah,
This is basically the dial-in problem, is that the dial-in is too big in some sense, like too splashy, that everything else is just ending up being like a numbers coefficient on the rest of the team rather than having unique gameplay of its own.
yeah. I don't know if she has something in her kit that works particularly well with Sigrid or something. Like it's hard to see why her kit has much value right now when Fufu and Dylan get the job done just fine. Like we don't need another off-field stunner if you're going the anomaly route, and usually if you need to run 3 teams for any given in-game mode, one of them's the anomaly team. If that one needs to be stunned, your girl with the double maces is the one that's getting used. So I don't know where she fits gameplay wise, but her animations are really good. I love all of her animations.
I love how every time she stops running, she just about falls over and has to use a thruster to stay upright.
Yeah. So I will do some token pulls for her, see if I can just get the character, and probably not care too much about the weapon because I just don't know what she's for yet. And pull the 50-50 maybe, and just let it go if I don't get it. Nah, I probably won't go that deep
So
for her.
the character you're not going to crack your wallet for. This will be the first one in forever.
I managed to get away with getting Booby Lady without having to bust the wallet. I did bust the wallet this week for $10 on the gotchas though. On this,
You already showed that off earlier in the show.
yeah. So I did. So I did bust the wallet for $10 on the Woo bike. But
I thought about it and then didn't multiple times because basically I don't like the way that the color scheme of the Chisa one is different depending on which side of the bike you look at.
I
But the problem with the secondary problem with that is that the simplest way to resolve that issue is to get Hiyuki's bike.
and mix and
because
match.
because between the two of them you can build either an all cool colors theme or an all warm colors theme because they have them on reverse sides.
I see. Yeah, Uno's is just blue, and I think the especially the middle livery is really cute, and I like the little leaf entry design on the other side. It's got
The
fun
the
there.
um that one of the things that they talked about when they did their interviews was the design of the bike. And the reason why in the launch of Lahai the bike performance was so jank is that the original version of the bike that they designed and released had the motive force actually applied by the tires. Like
Ah,
the bike works like a bike. So anytime the tires ended up out of contact with the ground, you had no motive force to move forward.
yeah,
So when they revised the bike, they just applied the motive force to the bike rather than actually having it work like a vehicle.
yeah. Just have the force applied to the entire bottom of the thing instead of the wheels. So yeah, uh, did spend $10, but it was on Woo Woo Cosmetics, not on ZZZ, because I managed to get Valina reasonably good. Didn't lose any of the pulls. Um,
I
yeah,
won the tosses, but I did have to go to pity twice,
yeah. So
and now I have another soldier 11.
so yeah. My polychrome is not safe, and neither is my wallet for the following patch at all, because while she is not bouncy in the traditional sense I like my pink girls, like your Valinas and Arias, she is still bouncy technically.
Yes, well, certain aspects of her are bouncy
Uh,
and
and
really contained.
yes, and she is almost certainly going to be the meta character, so not having her is going to be a sting in the butt if you don't. Uh, and then Sigrid's a blonde horse girl with a ponytail.
I'm really wondering what they're actually going to do with her kit because there's like no information, no leaks, no clues or anything. You never see her fighting on screen. We just know that she's ice attack. That's it.
Mm-hmm. So yeah,
And was it the last time we got that Hugo?
yeah, him and Ellen Joe.
And Hugo, his kit has now been farmed out to everybody.
Yeah, like Belle has it now. So yeah, uh, all he's got is that mechanic in combination with his element. So yeah, Ice Attack coming out, and a bouncy pink woman. So not bouncy in the usual sense. So yeah, I will.
So she's going to be the debut of a new element as well that's unique to her. The early details said that it was basically a neutral element. Um, considering the power level of Void Hunters, that will basically make her your sort of like core anti-shill option, presumably. Like
Yeah,
there's no shill that you can work with. Okay, so just slam Remiel in there and go to town. Since she's functionally an anomaly character, it's probably going to be bracketed somewhat to anomaly. But since you got your Shingus for the not anomaly Void Hunter that can be just jammed in practically anywhere, then you've got that option as well. But
yeah,
and then you've got the other Void Hunters like Shifu just hits really, 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 really hard anytime you've got any kind of ultimate buff, and Miyabi has that unique Miyabi trait of turning unfavorable matchups into neutral matchups, and neutral matchups into favorable matchups, and favorable matchups into walkovers.
yeah. Miyabi continues to just be Miyabi because even if you don't buff Miyabi, she just is able to use stuff that comes out around her just fine and still continue to be Queen of Anomaly.
I mean, the whole reason a bloom exists was a vain attempt to stop Miyabi from getting more powerful.
Yeah,
But it
girlfriend.
turned out that the bloom stunner that they released was just incredible with Miyabi.
Yeah. What if we use them together? Oh no. so uh so yeah. Valina did keep her work of working with Jane and allowing the vortex to crit, and it works wonderfully. It actually masks out less than if you use her with Alice, I think, because Alice gets this similar type of special disorder to Yanagi. But it is still a substantial buff to Jane, which I've been very happy with because I love playing Jane.
The rabbit is my favorite, so I will use the rabbit.
Yeah. So right now,
Pity her mindscapes are terrible, so she's never going to get any better.
yeah, Jane's mindscapes are cracked. If you can continue to get them somehow, but yeah,
Like getting lots and lots of, well, in your case, arenas.
yeah, I just need more arenas. So yeah, uh, and that's I've basically just been using her with Jane. Haven't really branched out to experiment much with her aside from I did use her with Arya once and it worked okay. But the comfort level just isn't there with S0 Arya or M0 Arya because Suna just adds a lot of comfort to using Arya because she gives her glow stakes whenever you use the EX skill on Suna, and uh, Valina doesn't do that. But it does work. Um, and but yeah, I'll enjoy playing her with Jane a lot. Going to be married to Jane for a bit, and I'm sure more wind characters and more partners will come out for Valina to take advantage of. She does quite solid damage even just by herself. I built mine up as much as I reasonably can right now. Um, I since she's going with Jane, I quad hamster or went hamster past her, which is not often I do that for a character, but for a Jane team member, yeah, you get it.
I'll work on her this weekend and take a crack at using her, and you know the deadly assault and whatever the new one is that I'm sure you're going to talk about when you get around to it. Um, but yeah, Valina is one of those characters who falls within my aesthetic preferences, and so all meta bets will be off. I don't generally think about meta very much when I pull in ZCC.
Yeah.
This aesthetics will go home. I only pull waifus.
Uh, yeah. I pull most of the characters in ZZZ. I'll let some go if they don't interest me. I let all the icky boys go. I let Premia go, Caesar, Yanagi, characters like that that just don't jump out to me a lot. But I do pull a lot of the characters in ZZZ. But
I've I've seen some footage actually of Remiel in combat. I would say that Basically, Remiel's combat animations emerge when somebody at Hoyo plays Ameth and then realizes that they need to up their game to get to that level of flash
Yeah,
because there is a lot of freaking animation.
yeah. And the ZZZ team is always the only one that seems to have a fire under its butt to keep trying new stuff and innovating. Sometimes it works, sometimes you get the creator ball. But they'll always be doing something if their work spree continues. We're coming up on the anniversary
The
as well. Next patch to recoup on Polychrome, which is nice. So that'll be
the
good.
the vibe for Remiel's animations is very similar to Amos in a lot of ways. There's a sort of a lot of floating and diving across the foreground of the screen type of thing.
I see. But yeah, I'm glad they're branching and really making their push characters feel good and like the big character of the patch
Well,
cycle.
this is what you want in competition, though, right? You want the bar to constantly be being raised.
Yeah, and just it like especially compared to the last few characters we got in Genshin, it's like, do the other teams have fires under their butt? So yeah, let's talk about uh the oh, we still got some of the story. Um, Norma section of the story had some of the best animated bits. I like the bit where after Rimiel becomes a boomer and futzes up the security system. Uh, because I like that the entire back end of the conflict with the tower's security going on alert is just because Rimiel was also here and she boomered the security system.
I can't work out if she's like going to be this was all just as planned in the end, or if she's actually just kind of a dunce.
I I think it might be a bit of both. Like I think she might
I
be
mean,
she has the big
that is sort of in character for like Elysia, like classically. Elysia was like she had a very keen mind, but her common sense was sort of away with the fairies. Like she was more concerned about aesthetics than she was about reality.
yeah. You got Rimiel gives me a vibe of somebody that has understands a greater scope of things going on in the big picture, but when it comes to the fine details, she's just kind of winging it. And if she runs into a situation she doesn't understand or foresee, it's just kind of like, I guess we're doing this, and it may not work out as planned. So yeah, they've handled Remiel pretty good so far. And the fully animated cutscene that shows that the security problem is her boomerang stuff just has Belle and Norma open a door, and there's an army of security Bang Boo on the other side with red glowing ominous eyes, and then it hard cuts to them just noping and turning around and running away. And they get to another door and they're trying to close the door, and you have Norma and Belle poking the fingers of the security Bang Boo to stop them from getting their fingers pinched while they're trying to close the door. It was very good. So yeah, I enjoyed all of that. I thought they did good. The action cutscenes at the end for their fully animated bits were really good too, with the giant void worm on the rails with Pyroas. I thought that was a good climax to the intro story. And yeah, they just did a good job with the main story here. I think they're continuing on the momentum they had set up after the idol story mini story, and hopefully they keep paying it off and do something cool with it. And they've got a lot of pieces here that are interesting and good. The uh, the baby Sunbringer and the big Sunbringer and the missing Sunbringer uh, thing going on is interesting. The with
I liked in the Japanese how Sisia calls the old unified Sunbringer Ichibringer, and calls the other one the sort of the sub Sunbringers Sanbringer, so one bringer and three bringer.
yeah, it's get a bit
It's,
of
the pun that only works in the Japanese and not in any other language, but I appreciated it.
yeah. So yeah, I really don't have anything bad to say about the main story for an intro story meant to introduce Rose Califer and get us right into the what's going on. They did a pretty good job. Not a whole lot of downtime. It wasn't overly long, about 4 or 5 hours I think total for the whole thing. But it had a lot of ground to cover and it did a reasonable job. So that's the main story. Um, Next up we have the new game mode that I forget the name of that was broken on release day. I sent Vol a picture. Hang on. Maybe it shows the name of it there. It starts with an A. But yeah, so on release day, this game mode was broken. It was fixed the next day on the first hotfix. But yeah, my favorite boss: text, 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 text.
I'm pretty sure that we've encountered that in Woo at some point.
Well, we had the soul skin and the one in the cutscene where you turn in the soul skin balls for like a month.
Well,
Their butts were
all
just
of
had text on it.
the particle effect was replaced by flying text, literally flying the word text.
Yeah, they just had text attached to their butts. So yeah, I've fudging heck me is this game mode called? I'm gonna lose my flipping marbles. Uh 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 uh. Annihilation Simulacrum. Right. So Annihilation Simulacrum is in the vein of Battle Tower. It just says greater than 42 days for this rotation, and they'll rotate it whenever they come up with new ideas. Because it's a very novel challenge mode. First off, you're not allowed to use your roster. This is a gameplay exclusive thing. It also means it's probably not going to be a dev focus, and why it has a Battle Tower type release thing because they can't make any money off of it. This is just for people that want to try and complete a new challenge with these mechanics. It'll give you for the easy mode, you pretty much have access to the entire roster of currently released characters minus a few. Most of them are there, I think, and you can just build whatever heckin' team you want to tackle these. And they have lower stats uh, in the normal mode, and you have to use these trial characters to defeat a boss that, if you just look at it at first, seems like okay, deadly assault boss, beat it in 3 minutes for the S rank, whatever. That's not super interesting, but they have heavily curbed these bosses and twisted them by giving them very unique mechanics compared to not just any other version of the boss that you're fighting, but in the game period. So the first one has the
They're
least.
field testing future bosses, basically.
Yeah. So the first one is the least interesting, and that's Sarah. Sarah is just you have a extra button like you get sometimes in the hollows on L3 by default, I think, that you can use to lock her out of swapping to her powered up miasma mode, and using ultimates and EX skills will decrease the cooldown on this lock. And your objective is to stop her from entering that mode more than 3 times and kill her. And she's obviously, when she's not miasma mode, she takes way more damage. It's way easier to bring her down, so the time becomes less of an issue if you can successfully, keep her locked down. Even if she goes into miasma mode a few times, this one is not particularly difficult. And Yay Shungus is allowed in this one, so you can bust her out if you need to, and get this one on both normal and hard mode without too much
It would
trouble.
make sense to do so, considering the sheer frequency with which she can hit the alt button.
Yeah. Um, so yeah. Um, People are saying that Hugo is actually really good for her. Oddly, I'm not sure why. With Dylan and
Does he
Norma,
have like lots of abilities that count as special or something?
I have no idea. But
Because I know there are a few anomalies. Like there is like for instance, um Shifu has a normal attack that is actually classified as a special attack, even though it doesn't involve the special button in any way.
yeah, that might be the case with Hugo. I do not
Like
know.
Shifu's hold normal is actually classified as a special. I
Yeah,
think. I think that's the way it goes.
yeah. Shifu would probably work. Actually, I forget if she's weak or resistant to ether. Don't remember. Um, but uh, but yeah, that's the go to for that one. Don't know why people are saying Hugo is great. But I think I Jane Valina'd this one on hard mode, and it worked out fine. So next, you have the drowned Monato, and his whole shtick is when he starts the fight, he starts with a miasma bar. This miasma bar is abnormally strong, like stupidly powerful, and even rupture characters are going to have a time doing damage through it. Like this thing is going to cut into your clear time to a point where you won't S rank it if you can't get rid of it, and you get rid of it by uh, doing the yellow flash guard, the one that and dinging off of it, or by hitting him with EX special attacks and ultimates.
That's the same as every miasma bar. That's how you get rid of miasma bars.
So that's the quirk start. The other thing here is though, he will just when he's not attacking be in a block stance where he will counter if you hit him with anything else, including off-field damage from other characters. And anytime he hits you, his miasma bar fills back up significantly. So
Oh my.
you're playing a yo-yo effect with his miasma bar. And if it fills up all the way, he goes into an enhanced mode and you'll basically just restart the fight at that point because you're not making the 3-minute timer. Uh so uh so this is
So how do you have anything to counter if he's just going to sit there and guard?
that's why you have to use your EX special attacks and ultimates to break the guard that will force him to go on offense, and now he will do his long attack strings and counter as much of it as possible, or dump as much other EX skills and ultimates into it as you can in that phase. Or in that, not phase, but that launch of attacks. And as standard, though, you will interrupt him and he will begin guarding after it. So this may not be the most economical use of your resources. You got to be careful. He will sometimes just attack if you're standing around doing nothing. He's not a totally passive boss. Um, but I found it was better just to throw an EX attack, break his guard, make him do his attack string, and repeat. And be very, very methodical with your usage of your ultimates and EX skills. It's not super hard. He's the normal mode. If Sarah was easy, he's the normal one.
I normally have trouble with Minato though because the cadence of his attacks is jank compared to most of the other bosses in the game.
Yeah,
I
he's very
usually get domed by at least part of his attack strings.
yeah, he has a lot of double parries and he's very fast. So you're gonna get whopped, and that's gonna get his shield back up. So you just gotta practice him until you figure it out. That's okay. It's not like you got a very short time limit to do this event, so you'll have plenty of opportunity to just go in and practice him. If you get stuck on him, but I don't think you'll get stuck too hard. The last one is the hardest one. Oh, and people are saying that Evelyn Caesar Norma is the best team to deal with Minato in that one.
Well, the only thing that was in my whatchamacallit, my social media feed were a whole bunch of people whinging that the entire thing took them 10 minutes and was trivially easy.
Yeah, I do think that future iterations could stand to make them a bit more difficult because Billy is the only one that's going to make you have to actually redo the teams a lot. I don't think anybody that can competently push buttons is going to run into a problem um with Sarah or Minato. Their HP just ain't high enough, and they could have stood to be about 50% bigger to make it feel like a real challenge in team building. Billy, however, has a much harder gimmick because it's totally new. Billy, you fight him very briefly in the story in a little duel you're first experimenting with Pyroas. But he has a full and proper boss moveset, and it's actually a really good one. I enjoyed it a lot. In his special mode here, his gimmick is a debuff called Etch. He will periodically drop circles at his feet, and fighting in these circles will put stacks of Etch on you, up to 10 for you. He can take up to 20. He will not gain any from standing in it, but you will. And the more stacks you have, the more damage over time you take. And it gets really, really big if you let it get all the way up to 10. So, there are
I mean, do
ways.
they drop off or?
So that's the gimmick here. You have to transfer the etch stacks onto Billy to get him to 20. And the way you transfer them is the most efficient way is inflicting him with anomalies. Every anomaly afflicted on him, your character will move 4 etch stacks from them onto Billy. The clash parry, the ding on the gold attacks for switching characters will move 2. And a dodge counter will move 1. And stunning him will transfer all stacks on you onto Billy. When he gets 20 etch stacks, he takes a huge chunk of damage to his maximum HP. And then he will also do, and you'll also be healed for a not insubstantial amount. It's like 35% of your HP or something nuts like that. Whenever you transfer the etch onto him, and it's everybody on your team gets that heal. So the tricky part here is figuring out how to effectively keep fighting him inside of these things without letting your etch stacks get too high. And you have to be careful with your team selection because the circle is not very big. So you want to stay in the circle as much as possible. You can't just rely on the etch to kill him. You do have to do damage yourself. So you don't want to be too zippy on your characters you pick and require a lot of movement. At least,
But you don't want like somebody like Seed who never stays still ever.
Yeah, Seed would be the worst choice. The Jane Valina Yuzaha team is fairly competent at it, but it's a little tight, especially since I did him before I really knew how to play Valina. And I was getting bopped quite hard with that team because I just was not able to keep Valina in the circle. And so what I wound up doing, I sent you the picture of the team I used. Who did I use?
Text.
Yeah, gotta scroll back down. The answer was Yanagi, Valina, Yuzaha. So I swapped Jane out because Jane had a problem here. And while I'm pretty sure she's on the recommended team, the Jane Valina team is the go-to for this one. But Jane has a problem. Jane likes to dash around a lot. And those circles being as small as they are, you wind up with Jane just getting pushed outside of them. And that's not good. So on a whim, I decided to swap Yanagi in instead, because Yanagi triggers anomaly as much as Jane does, and she gets a disorder effect that Jane can't get with Valina. So doing this, I got it literally the first try I used this team.
To be fair, you'd been flailing around at it for a while.
Yeah. But Yanagi is able to do basic combos and stay in the circle and just play it straight way easier. It was pretty tight because I don't know how to play the Yanagi, but yeah. It could also be just a function of Jane muscle memory in most fights is to move around a lot, and fighting that muscle memory was just too hard for me, and she may still be the optimal solution. I do not know, but we got there in the end, and that one was fun. I liked learning that one and trying out a bunch of different teams to see what will work best with it because the damage from etch on you for damage over time is a lot. I got very close doing it with Caesar, but I just did not know how to play Caesar well enough to get the stun windows where I needed them. So I went back to full anomaly at the end. But yeah, it's a good idea for a game mode. It's unfortunately probably not going to get a lot of development, and will just be used as a test bed for ideas because well, they can't make any money off this game mode. Like you literally are only allowed to take trial characters. And for the hard mode, your selection is limited to not an insignificant amount of characters. You have a lot of choices. It's like 12 characters or something to build a team from. But yeah, building teams within those 12 and what approach you want to take is fun. I enjoyed uh, sitting through and figuring it out. They have some, the wackadoodle choices in there, like Yanagi without Miyabi to support and winding up being the main DPS of the team. That was fun. You got standard Yadari Lucilla teams or not Lucilla, Lucia teams. Too many Lucies. Uh, that
I don't think you want your health to get any lower.
No, but I mean, people that don't get to experience that can totally whip that out and try it if they want. They got a competent Evelyn team set up there with Evelyn and Norma and whatever support you want for the last slot. Probably a second stunner for that one. Probably Dylan. Like you have of course the Jane Valina Yuzaha current fun team that just gives you a lot of really big funny numbers. Like Billy's in there. Moving on, and Hugo's in there. You know, reasons. So those two aren't getting a whole lot of use, but yeah, it's interesting. I like the game mode as an idea. Kind of sad it won't get much expansion and probably won't see very many iterations. It'll be a very slow rotation, but it was fun going through it and spending a couple hours just bopping on it. More video game to play. Right. So there's that game mode. And the last things really to talk about are the baby event and the big event. We'll do the baby event first because there's no story to it.
You skipped over Battle Tower.
Yeah, that's okay. We can do that now because it's kind of tangential to the other thing. Yeah. So the personal thing I did that had jack all to do with the current patch was I decided to go stick my nose in Battle Tower. I did this at the end of doing everything else because I wanted to. I just wanted to keep playing, and there, aside from the new special game mode, there wasn't a whole lot of opportunity to really get out and play with Valina this patch. And I wanted to see just what we could do with her and what the wind elements, big funny numbers could look like. So on Thursday and Friday, I decided to just go punch on Battle Tower and take the time limited tower up to floor 100. I think it caps out at 200 for the time limited one, but I'm not going all the way to 200 right now because it gets very repetitive very fast. Because it just is doing the same strategy, but now it's even harder with a more difficult threshold as you go up. I use for floors 50 plus because that's where the challenge really kicks up. I use functionally the same 3 teams for every single floor, and because I'm me, I reset any floor I didn't get an S rank. So you don't have to do this, but it did mean of the people that have cleared floor 100, I'm in the top 20% just getting there, just by forcing myself to S rank every floor. That's before grinding past floor 100, if you want to go turbo autist. So yeah. First off, when you get to the 3 teams I used, I did the Jane Valina use a HUD team because that's the one I wanted to experiment with. I busted the idols out for the second team to cover ether weaknesses because it's Battle Tower. Gonna be fighting a lot of ethereal types. All those are weak to ether. And the last one I used was the Miss Hiss team, which is Cecilia, Seed, and Astra, and
Christmases.
because Miss Hiss. And for Battle Tower specifically, that team is cracked. Because if they can kill stuff quick, and you can get the energy loop going good enough, you will never ever have an opportunity to take damage. Well, there'll be brief windows, but they'll be very small, and because Cecilia jumps up into the air for her move, and you have time to position it, so you can just nope away from anything dangerous the enemy's about to do, and just stay up there and then come down. Because remember, the timer doesn't do anything except give you more score, and you don't need the timer to meet the S rank score thresholds. Most of your score will come from not taking damage because your multiplier will stay higher, and you'll get a bonus at the end if you take absolutely no damage. So you just stay up there, and Seed, if you once you get her bar filled up, you can use the charge punch, and while she's vulnerable at the end of it, through with the actual attack where it's zipping through and doing the kaboom, you are safe. So what you do is you do that attack, and if you see the boss flash during it, you just abandon the attack. If it's going to hit at the end of it, by switching back to the snake, and counter that with the snake, and then just go right up in the air. And those two have so much energy, you're getting the iframes from their EX attack windows all the time, and their EX attacks are quite long. So it's a very funny team to take at a battle tower, because it's a whole lot of just letting the enemy act like an idiot while you come down and then blow them up. I love the Miss Hiss and or the Cecilia team and the Seed team. It's a good fun team just for trolling the enemy. Especially when the objective is don't take damage. Because Miss Hiss is in the stratosphere. She's not on the battlefield. And also Astra is there. So yeah. This covered my bases for pretty much everything. Made sure I was at least neutral to anything that could pop up. This strategy worked great, except for one boss that I totally forgot existed. And that's Yeezy's brother and his crocodile. The crocodile and Yeezy's brother are weak to wind and physical on paper, but you can't afflict the crocodile with anomaly. So those turned into very long fights of attrition where I had to do the fight perfectly and not get hit a single time. As the only way to get the score for the S rank. But all the other ones were just play the teams well and get better at playing those specific teams to not take damage and kill the enemies as efficiently as possible while expending as few resources as possible to carry over onto future floors. Because your decibels and your EX gauge carry over between individual floors. Every 10 floors you get a break, your HP is fully refilled, and your energy and decibels are reset back to nothing. So usually the last fight on any given floor set is boss, so you'll want to dump everything you got anyway. And yeah, I had reasonable fun doing this, but I dropped it at 100 because that's where it started to become super repetitive. And just they add 5,000 more every 10 floors that you need to meet for the threshold to get an S rank, and enemies hit harder, and you get closer and closer to one-shot territory. We're not there yet, but when I get smacked, I'm currently losing about 60% of my HP. So yeah, perfect play is becoming less of a get S ranks with thing and more of a clear the floor at all thing if I was to push further. But yeah, it's reasonable fun. Great for really learning your characters and how to minimize damage taken and while keeping uptime and play within their base kits without excessive resource expenditure. It's getting you a good feel for new characters. Battle Tower is still a great idea. I hope they continue to do more stuff like it, and like the new game mode they put out. I'm going to send them feedback. That was a good idea, this new game mode. And Battle Tower is just, always there if you just want to keep playing the game more. which I did because there wasn't a whole lot of raw gameplay to use Felina in, and I just got a new shiny character that works with my favorite character. So yeah, that's those for ZZZ. There's two more bits. One of them's really quick because it's just a reiteration of the duo team event, the one that has two teams, two fighting side by side, and you try to get high scores by flipping between the two teams, and their effects go up. People seem to like it the first time. It's a interesting test bed for game modes. Their gimmicks are way harder in terms of not difficulty, but leaning into the gimmicks this time. Like there is one where they just make you take 4 stun characters.
Well, more Fufu is good.
Well, I don't think Fufu is Fufu an option.
Fufu better be an option.
I think they force you to take Baby Anby, Dylin.
Why?
Of course.
Dylan doesn't need more screen time. Every team uses Dylan.
Norma. The last one might be Fufu. Can't remember though.
Could not be Kaleda. Kaleda's bad.
It's not Kaleda. But I don't think
Trigger.
Not Trigger.
It's not Lighter.
Not Lighter. Let's see.
Chingy?
It is Chingy. Okay, Chingy instead of Fufu. So you have Baby Anabi and Chingy on one side, and Dylin and Norma on the other. And it's just, it's way easier this time in terms of difficulty. The points you get seem to just keep coming. Press that switch button literally every single time you can, and you'll be drowning in so many points you won't do with. But this is kind of like the token combat event that exists just to give you more polychrome to work with, that they have around the start of all the patches. They usually have one at the start and the end. So not a whole lot to write home about here, and it's just another go around of a version of a combat event we've already seen. The much more substantial event is Norma's event, which functionally acts as her character story.
Don't spoil it then, because I haven't touched it.
Yeah, so the gameplay of it is you need to work on the central computing Bangbu in the academy, and because of reasons, this turns into collecting Bangbu, leveling them up, getting equipment for them of various rarities and tiers, and you don't level up the individual Bangbu. I'll get to that in a minute. But getting all the individual Bangbu, multiple copies to unlock their more equipment slots for them and increase their combat aptitude, and taking them into an auto battler that is very much so in the vein of not so much Blue Archive, but Princess Connect. You do choose a grid position to place them on the board, and that is an important part. But you most of the time want them on auto for their ultimates, because it'll allow you to make sure they're not clipping their skills they'll automatically use with their ultimates. But sometimes you need one Denny Boo to use his ultimate at a very specific time, and you go into manual mode and you play it like Pinecone. Because one Denny Boo has, as soon as you unlock him, I think he's a tier 2 Bangbu, so you get him after phase 3. He's a 1-star Bangbu, so he only takes one cost of deployment to deploy, which is really good. And he has an effect that is just negate 1 instance of damage on everybody. And this seems like, okay, that's not that big a deal, until you realize, number one, you can get him to juice his ultimate really fast. So one Denny Boo can keep applying this to the entire team. And number two, there's one boss in particular that whenever it does any attack, it's going to kill whatever thing it hits and anything behind it. And so even with every type of energy drain bamboo on the planet, you're not keeping that thing's energy drain down enough to never do this attack. So what you do is when it's getting close, you switch to manual mode and you make one Denny boost sit on that ultimate, and you wait until that bar until the auto attack that's going to fill up the boss's bar, and then you push that button so that you can no sell this attack. So that is about the only strategy I can really give people, because what boos they build up and their rolls on the gear, because the gear is randomized. You can re-roll multiple times and you'll get a whole lot of opportunities to do so as you progress the event. We'll determine what your core bang boo for each type are. They're divided into they have red, green, and blue, and a special purple color for bang boo that divides their, I'm gonna call them elements, and I think of them as fire, grass, and water, because that'll make it easier to understand the weaknesses and resistance triangle they got going on. And there are tank bang boos and DPS bang boos and support bang boos, and you build them like you would a pinecone team. So it's a, despite leaning more into the auto battle aspect, because you do really want to keep it on auto as much as you can. It feels better than a lot of the other ones they've done. I enjoyed playing through it. It does have a definitive endpoint, but it's not time gated in the traditional sense. The enemies continue to go up in level as you progress through, and in order to take on the higher difficulty ones, you will either need to do some serious bang boo gear molding. I beat the level 60 bosses at level 40 with a lot of gear molding on particular bang boo, but it was a rough and experimental road of trial and error, because there are no guides out for this crap yet. Might be by now, but there certainly weren't when I did it. You will just accrue EXP over time that will level up all of your bang boo. It's just an account level, and your bang boo are the level of your account. And you get them. You just get this by the more you clear of the standard missions. I think there's 50 of them. Plus, there's a plus at the bottom, so this could expand beyond into the future, or it could just be ones I can't see. And 3 boss stages. The deeper you go, the more coins you collect by meeting the objectives, which are the same for all of them, which is kill all the enemies, it gets you 1 coin. Kill all the enemies within 50 seconds, get you 2 coins, and only losing 1 bang boo or 0 bang boo from your side of the board gets you another coin. And you will be sacrificing your tank bang boo a lot if you are trying to punch outside your level bracket. So glad they gave you wiggle room of 1. So, but yeah, you go through those at various points. It's set up in phases, like the Swabian Temple event. But instead of needing to go and sell junk, you are instead just waiting for the Bang Boo EXP to accumulate. And when you hit multiples every 10 levels, starting from level 8, I think. So 8, 18, 28, 38, etc. You'll be allowed to move up to the next phase, and can take on more challenges and see more Norma story, and more anecdotes around town for bonus fights and rewards, and little minor interactions with stuff around town will open up. There's also an area of Rose Califer, if you've explored it all, in the main city that you just can't go into, and the reward for getting into it is at the end of this event. Yeah, there's a little theater just sitting in town, if you run around it, that they won't let you in unless you equip a specific Bang Boo accessory. That accessory is at the bottom of this event, so you need to clear the whole event. But yeah, it's fun. I'm enjoying Norma's story so far through it. You'll see that when you get to it, and maybe we can talk more about it once you get into it. It's a much better iteration of the auto battle type stuff than we've usually seen, especially from Hoyo games. and there's a lot of thoughts you can do into team building, especially if your team is under leveled. Because leveling is done through time, uh, you can't really just stop to keep the challenge if you want, which is a little unfortunate, but that'd just be the way it do. I guess you could just not collect the accrued reward. It accrues EXP in EXP per hour and updates that the total EXP you have inside the bank every 15 minutes, and you can just go in there and claim it. But yeah, that'd be what we do with that one. I think it's a relatively good auto battle event. And I hope they lean more into this style in future because I miss Princess Connect and it makes me very sad that it's gone.
Never forget what they took from us.
Yep. So yeah. We'll talk more about that probably next week when you have time to actually go and get it a bit. There are also a ton of events around Rose Califer, just exploring that you can do that just give you more lore on Rose Califer, and show you interactions between the different departments, who I will never ever remember the names of, and we'll get them mixed up all the time. But they're cute and fun, and there's Bangbu everywhere doing dumb Bangbu things. Though the Rose Califer Bangbu seem to be simultaneously more dumb in some ways and less dumb than the usual Bangbu. They also have a lot of just normal names, which I think is really funny. Instead of Leverboo, the hardest working Bangbu in New Eridu, you got you got Jake.
I find the Big Bang Boo a bit uncanny.
Oh, the Fat Boo.
The really tall ones.
Oh yeah, there's an even bigger one. He's got googly eyes.
Well, Norma tried to build a really big Bang Boo, didn't she?
Yeah, she tried to build a super big Bangbu, like a building-sized Bangbu. I guess her hat might be a Bangbu if she's into alternate body styles for Bangbu. I guess she's one of the few engineers that can do it, given the black box that is Bangbu tech. So yeah, and that's all I got for ZZZ. Any more commentary before we move on, or we go to the other part of my week, the single player part?
I don't think I've got much else to say about ZZZ because I haven't basically done anything on ZZZ except for the story this week, which was good. It was good.
All right. So moving on to my single player stuff. Uh, Classic Xbox fans, like those of you that played on the OG Xbox with the Duke, may recall that we had an exclusive action adventure game, more adventure than its sequels and what most people will tell you, but still action focused. Uh, that was part of a series known for being ridiculously difficult for all the wrong reasons. Released in an era before Devil May Cry had come out and standardized things like a lock-on system. That game is Ninja Gaiden, the first of the 3D ones. So recently in a sale, they put the trilogy up on PC and it was dirt cheap, like $12. So I bought it. And I was like, I'm kind of in between games right now. I want to play something single player. I haven't played Ninja Gaiden 2 or 3 yet, and they were included in the bundle. So we'll start with the original game. And just go back through that and relive my childhood memories of trauma because I enjoy hurting myself. I don't know how younger me managed to beat this game on Master Ninja difficulty and not lose their marbles, because there's a lot of
What
old.
makes you think you didn't?
Yeah, it's possible I lost them and just never picked them back up, because there's a lot of old school action jank in this game. Like there are a bunch of enemies in this game where you need to swap weapons to deal with them effectively. The most infamous are, even outside of Ninja Gaiden, people have heard about the Ninja Gaiden 3D ghost fish, which are just swarms of about 30 fish that spawn at five at a time until you kill them all, that will just guard long hallways and choke points on the very, very end of the game maps. And the only way to deal with these things are to waste magic, putting up the fire wheel jutsu, which A, reduces your score, and B, at the end of the mission, and B, costs Nimpo, which is hard to come by. Or the more economical option, and the way you're supposed to deal with them, switch to the Vigorian flail weapon, jump in the air, do one basic attack to cancel ending lag from the jump and get invincibility on the jump, and then just start spamming the basic ground attack until it gets to one hit before the finishing hit, and then jump again and repeat. Because if you don't, these things will start chewing on you, rapidly drain your health, multiple can attach to you at the same time, and you have to Mario Party your controller to shake them off. And anytime
Nothing
you
about this sounds fun. It
no,
sounds obtuse.
these are a pain in the butt, that an infamously terrible enemy, even that was so bad even people that didn't play Ninja Gaiden knew about the ghost fish if you played action game. They are the worst designed common enemy ever in any game. Compounded by the fact the only way to switch weapons is to open the pause menu, go to the weapon screen, go to the melee weapon screen, scroll down from the top all the way to the Vigorian flail, which is somewhere near the bottom, equip it, kill the ghost fish, and then repeat the process to go back to your main weapon. Just a painful experience. Other thing in Ninja Gaiden that makes it kind of odd, the original game did not have the ability to control the camera. That actually came in DLC for the original game, and is included in this version. The only thing you could do to control the camera was recenter it behind Ryu by pushing the recenter camera button. There was no jigger in the right stick to adjust the camera. For literally no reason whatsoever, because the camera could be spun, as evidenced by the reposition button. They just didn't give you access to it in the original game originally. Thankfully, this version comes with that by default, so you can just use the camera normally.
Was
However,
that standard though at the time? Free camera control?
I don't know, because Devil May Cry 1 still used Resident Evil camera. In fact, Devil May Cry 3 uses it. So yeah, I don't think that was standard. But in Ninja Gaiden in particular, it's a problem, because at least in Devil May Cry 1 and 3, you have the lock-on button.
You mean you're not supposed to enjoy somersaulting wildly in the direction of a guy on a motorbike and hoping that your models intersect?
Yeah, and made worse because the attack you need to use to knock him off the motorcycle is, while jumping in the air, hold forward towards an enemy that's within range and press heavy attack. Now, where is forward toward the enemy with a camera that is uncooperative? Your guess is as good as mine, and the margin for error on it is very, very small. If you look up any gameplay videos of Ninja Gaiden 1, of the people that really got into it and mastered the game to stupid degrees, because every action game has at least a few people that do. Mastery of Ninja Gaiden 1, the first 3D Ninja Gaiden, is not about being stylish like Devil May Cry. It's about being efficient and abusing invulnerability frames. It is a painful game to go through. Overall, the game, once you get a handle on the combat, it's not as difficult as I remember it being. But at the same time, it's just got so much jank to it. I do not recommend going through it for a revisit. It's a Team Ninja Gaiden story. It's the same people that made DOA. The story is not going to engage you. Like, this is just a nostalgia trip for me. If you have no memories of this game whatsoever, it is not worth visiting Ninja Gaiden 1. You are just inducting yourself into the Hall of Pain. However, you do get to see Xbox One era attempts at jiggle physics on Rachel. And it is hilarious. Because the entire rack is functionally like two polygons that are glued together that have to move in unison. and the animation for it is uncanny at a level where it stops being weird and just is funny. It is no surprise this team then went on to make DOA. So yeah, I've not played very much of the second game. I'm like on. I just finished the tutorial chapter one, but it does a lot to improve the very obvious problems. Still don't have lock on, but the abilities are much more responsive for the direction of the enemy, and the uh, the margin for error is way greater, so it's not nearly as big of a deal. And you can press up on the D-pad at any given time to whip out uh, a scrollable weapon list in the middle of the screen that doesn't have to go through the rigmarole of opening up the pause menu and navigating. And you can do the same thing for ranged weapons by hitting up again. That's another thing. You had to switch your ranged weapon all the time because sometimes you needed your bow to solve a puzzle or deal with an enemy that you couldn't reach normally. And sometimes
You're a ninja. Can't you just like throw a kunai at it or shuriken at it or something?
you could, sure, can do pitiful damage and you'll need to hit him like 80 times. Uh, the windmill shuriken does better damage, but has bad range. The kunai, you have are exploding kunai, and you have a limited stock you can carry of 15 at any given time. So, and are best used for dealing with as crowd control. But so yeah, you anytime you would need to switch to a ranged weapon, you also had to go through that rigmarole of opening up the menu. So yeah, just a whole lot of early action game jank you're subjecting yourself to with first game, and you can see very clearly where they have gone through in the sequel and just gone, that was a bad idea, let's fix that. Okay, that was a problem in the first game, let's fix that. And so far, it's been a much better experience. I intend to go through all three of them. Um, Ninja Gaiden 2 is held as the best of the trilogy. 3 doesn't have great reviews, but 4 just came out recently. So if I want to play that, I figure I should go through the other ones. And I do have Ninja Gaiden 1 was a presence in my late childhood, early teens that me and the kids at school would talk about a lot because we all had it. All of us that had an Xbox. So it's been interesting going back and poking at it. But it took me 2 weeks to get through Ninja Gaiden 1 because it's just difficult dealing with all that old jank. And the PC ports, the shoes, they don't support borderless window mode in any way, shape, or form. Not even with the application that forces it. Like it'll just enable full screen mode. Like there's unfortunately for Ninja Gaiden 2, we got the version of the game that is censored. Not in the way you would expect for the DOA team, but in the blood and gore aspect, where we get, blue fire censoring the limb dismemberment and stuff. So that doesn't bother me so much, but it is something to keep in mind. And yeah, I'll keep going through them slowly as just the background single player project for a while. I think they make for good games to play. That I could turn on something else while I'm doing them because the Ninja Gaiden story is awful. You don't care what's going on. You get to watch the world's least stealthy ninja go through and reacquire the dark artifact of his clan.
Or the booby lady with the axe.
Yeah. I mean, you'll watch it, but the context for why the jubblies are jiggling doesn't really matter. So yeah, I'm interested to see where they go with Ninja Gaiden 2 because there's a lot to improve in the first game. The first game. Yeah, beat it. Single playthrough. Not even going to contemplate trying to complete the first game. It is. I looked at that task list and I'm like, nope. We are
It must
talking.
be pretty obscene to make you nope out of it.
Yeah, it is Beat the game on every difficulty with no stacking. Uh, beat all of the challenge missions with platinum medals, and there are a billion of them that would be like 50 or 80 hours by itself. A whole bunch of random miscellaneous crap and specific weapon use achievements. Like it just is grindy suffering the whole way down. And this game has so many bonus combat missions because Team Ninja, for whatever reason, back in the day, just really wanted to support this game. It was their best selling game on the Xbox originally when it came out, and they just kept releasing free DLC for it. I guess it wasn't very hard to remix fights inside of new arenas with the enemy roster they had because they just had to keep doing it. And yeah, it just looks like a repetitive mess. And I'm not going to deal with that. So I did my one playthrough of the story on the hardest difficulty available and called it good. And yeah, we'll get back to you more as I go through Ninja Gaiden 2 steadily over probably the next 2 weeks. Right, that's all I got for weeks and ZZZ.
Remiel has a bangbu.
And she is from Rose
And
Califer.
it does look, well, she's not originally, but she does, that this bangbu looks kind of like a biblically accurate angel.
Got the interlocking wheels and eyes with fire.
Well, I mean, it's still a bangbu, so it can't get that fancy, but it does look a little bit unnatural.
Ah. I see. But yeah, I think ZZ's in a good place right now. I think they've got a direction. Just keep going and see what you can spin up.
Where's Fern?
I don't know. All right. Got any actual good news?
I'm trying to think of any. Like during the week, most of the news that I follow is like tech and hardware stuff, and mainly it's just depressing as hell right now because everything has just pivoted to AI. There's basically nothing happening in the consumer tech space at all. It's just all data centers and AI and AI and data centers and agents and agents and agents. Like, nobody cares.
Yeah.
I can't really call to mind any like genuinely interesting conventional news that I saw this week. It was just bleh.
Boobies.
This is some morale raising measure, is it?
Yes.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you've seen anything, but I sure haven't. I haven't seen anything
No,
that
but
I would think of as news that is worth talking about.
I did discover a uh there's a quantity of them, a limited quantity of them, of ways to make fun of reaction channels, especially the VTuber over the top reaction channels for the indie VTubers. Go to their video because they will inevitably have a video reacting to the No Man's Sky video from Internet Historian, and you watch a little bit of it to see how their played up reaction is when they're reacting to stuff normally, and then you skip ahead all the way to the end where he reads the Sean Murray erotic fanfiction and watch their played up persona break down in real time. I got a lot of enjoyment out of this one day this week. I thought this was just the funniest thing in the world.
What?
I don't know. We have no news. I'm stretching here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know. Nobody makes games anymore. They always make weird stuff instead, or they just remake something that they made previously. Like the sort of the big news this week, quote big unquote, was like announcements about the remake of Persona 4. It's like, yeah, but we already played Persona 4. We know
I,
what happens.
I'm also very incredulous that they are deliberately avoiding the original English voice cast for these remakes. Like,
Are they though, or did they refuse to cooperate? Like, would we know?
so several the Persona 3 voice actors were more professional about them being recast. But the Persona 4 cast being recast, a bunch of them wanted to reprise their roles,
Hmm.
and were very disappointed that they didn't get it. Like, are
I
they?
mean, I want to reprise my role does not necessarily preclude I want you to sign this contract that favors me to a ridiculous degree or whatever.
Yeah, some of them appear to have been genuinely heartbroken by missing it. I think. I mean, she's not the greatest voice actress in the world, but she's still the voice I know of Yukiko, and Chie's voice actress as well. We're both really broken up about not getting the role, and even asked to come back. So, like, this is yet another reason I'm not going to engage with these games, because these characters already have an identity to me, and the old voice cast is part of that identity.
Yeah, but you know the story's not going to be the same. You know they're going to overhaul certain plot lines
Yeah,
to cater to
four
modern audiences.
four is far more susceptible to that than three, and it could very well fall to pieces.
I can scarcely see how it wouldn't. Like I would start throwing money at Atlas again if they just stuck to their guns and played the whole thing straight again. Because the amount of rage that that would cause amongst modern audiences would be hilarious.
Yeah,
Because the story simply does not align with their worldview. Even if they've tried to like reclaim certain characters for their quote cause unquote. All it takes is you to quote a line from the story to completely undo it.
well, all you need to do is quote Kanji's "I love cute shit," or literally anything from Naoto's story at the end. But that's not as funny.
But even on top of all of that, fundamentally, the story is sort of like directly opposed to the zeitgeist at present.
Yeah,
Like, well, not really the zeitgeist at present, really, to be honest. More sort of the zeitgeist of, circa 4 years ago or so that is currently starting to rot.
yeah,
I don't think that modern audiences are apt to cope with all of the stuff that you're being told is a lie, and you don't care because you think the lie is better for your purposes.
yeah. Uh, whenever when they announced the Persona 4 remake, the first thing that went to my mind was we already have a Persona 4 remake, both as a game in Golden, but also if we're talking about from the story perspective, we have the accidental gem that is the anime. So we're doing it again. Like I like Persona 4, I like Persona 3. I don't want those memories tarnished by flipping modern stuff or remakes. Like
Did,
that they
were
fit in
they
a time.
were they consistent with the story in Persona 3 when they remade it?
I haven't played the
I
remake.
mean, I know that they only remade half of the story, didn't they? Like they
I
left off the entire sort of like catharsis and denouement, but
I haven't played the remake, so I don't know. I own it. I haven't played it.
I don't think I could bring myself to, because it was sort of it's an experience that is sort of tethered to a particular point in time.
Yeah,
It's not timeless.
more so for me, it's tied to a particular point in my life when that story would have had the most resonance, and now it just doesn't, or rather, it wouldn't have the same punch, and doubly so because I've already seen this story before. You know what part I bet
I mean,
didn't make it into the remake? The part about Babe hunting on the beach.
I did hear something about them changing that, but I don't know if it was like something that people were talking about that they might, or something where that some situation where they're talking about people had been that people had seen that they'd changed it. But yeah, modern audiences, bruh. I've never met this person, modern audiences, but they seem to have a lot of clout.
I really Persona 3 already had a remake too, and it had a total story overhaul remake uh, that was necessary because of a reason modern audiences would balk at. They would say you don't need to rehaul the story for that, and it was when they did female protagonists because it turns out girls do things differently than boys do.
You mean to say body type 2 protagonist?
Yeah, like well, they had to totally rewrite the stories and social links uh, to fit female protagonists. And I like female protagonist stories; it's really good. But they had to totally redo them because it turns out girls interact with people differently.
No, no. Body type 2s interact with people differently, apparently.
Give That makes me so mad when I see body type 1 and 2. Here's what we need to do to counter body type 1 and 2. You need to we need to do some gay ops. We need to make it seem like the trans community gets up in arms every time body type 1 and 2 is mentioned because it doesn't affirm them, and watch the companies drop it like a hot rock.
I would say that that's probably going to happen naturally anyway, because realistically, there is no trans community, and you know, the troons have got a life expectancy or after trooning out of what 11 years tops, and it's been about that. So
Yeah, the only other news I saw was just drama of one of the old Sargon orbiters that I've made fun of in the past went full mask off, saying it was okay to murder everybody in MAGA because they're a tyrant after pretending to be a centrist forever. He finally broke. What was his name? Fucking short fat otaku.
oh no, no, that's not new. Like he went off the reservation ages ago. Like it's been sort of an ongoing topic of discussion for like the past 5 years of how he's been getting increasingly unhinged.
Yeah, like his farms thread just
There's no
exploded.
there's I don't know why there would be a change in the farmers thread, because he doesn't have any step changes left to make.
Oh yeah,
He's already as far gone as he could get.
he went on a podcast and advocated the killing of MAGA people, and it caught the eye of the people that keep the farms thread up this time.
I mean, I guess it's because he is a lolcow, and this is just his latest lolcow thing. It'd be like if Chris Chan did something.
Yeah, his thread was small for a while, but it's been steadily gaining momentum as he gets more unhinged. I flip through the highlights in it occasionally because I really don't like the guy.
I don't see why anybody would care what he had to say. I mean, I saw him try and latch on to Sargon like a remora, 10 years ago or whatever. But the fact is, his career never went anywhere, and he's probably just bitter about it. No, it's just resentment at work, pretty much.
Yeah, but that's the only drama thread I got any interest in this week because
I'm astonished that Nicky Rackets is still streaming.
yeah,
It's like, how are you even holding your life together, man?
yeah
Let
the
alone having time to stream.
he crashed and burned hard.
It's what internet fame does to you.
That's what cocaine and internet fame does to you.
Libertarianism, not even once.
Yeah, it came out all the times he was late for stream, or most of the times he was out going, and all the he had to go run and do something. It was to go meet his coke dealer.
Why his nose was always so red.
Uh huh. Why it was always so prominent. Yep. Never go full libertard because you just wind up a hedonist and you know wind up with cocaine in all over your house. The police busting down your door. Oh, he did. He did have his thread updated a bit ago. He crashed his car into a flippin' uh piece of heavy construction equipment.
Need I even ask if he was drunk?
Uh, I don't know if it was drunk. I can guarantee you he was coked out of his mind because he can't function without it. But yeah, yeah. The I don't keep up with the Rackets thread as much because watching Rackets life fall apart is kind of sad. Like it's just his hedonistic ideology got got out of hand, and he just came back to bite him like it always does when people adopt that libertarian all about me lifestyle. And Noel tried to warn him. He tried to tell him as soon as he started getting more degenerate in his streams. He's like, "Don't go down this path. This is the path to Caldum. Stop, please stop." And he didn't listen.
Well, I mean, part of internet fame is that you have a whole bunch of people who are acting as your enablers, either because they worship you or because they want to see you fall.
Yeah. Oh, the reason I kept flipping through the short fat otaku thread was because and it actually stuck out as a news thing is because he's one of the few people that has a farms account and actually responds to his own thread.
Well, I
But
mean, that's sort of why he's a lolcow, though, is because he's a glutton for punishment.
yeah, and so watching him get just told off and caught in lie after lie was the funniest thing in the world in the farms thread. Like the only other person that has a thread that posts in their thread takes that I occasionally check in on is Iden Paladin has a thread, but Iden does a very distinct difference that makes her, in my opinion, not really Law Callie. The Where she just laughs at it and she's like, "Yeah, I would prefer my old dumb college stuff wasn't on the thread for everybody to see, but it's a free speech internet. What can you do?" And she just rolls with it. The only thing she's gotten genuinely mad about in her thread is when somebody started just making crap up.
Well, I mean, the thing is that I would think that most of the people who would want her to be providing services as a lolcow would probably be mad about that as well, because you can't you can't truly be a lolcow if your story is contaminated by falsehoods. Like, what makes a lolcow funny is that it's all true.
Yeah. So when they got proven to be a liar, they had to redo the entire thread, and her thread has since gone relatively dormant. But because
Well,
she knew
the
how to
thing is
handle it.
that she's never been that interesting as a lolcow because basically the only thing she does in the online space really of note is interviews,
Yeah,
and that's not really about her.
yeah. I don't think she deserved a full thread, but she got one because she got a thread early before they started having to do curation on this kind of stuff to have potential threads go through a phase in the proving grounds before they made it to the full board. But she handled it like a champ, having a farms thread and having to acknowledge it and stop falsehoods from spreading on it. So I don't trust her analytical content because of what it sources most of the time. I don't watch her, but I can respect her way she approached her own farms thread and dealt with it.
I've
Versus,
never consumed any of her content.
yeah,
I only know of her through people's like third-hand references.
yeah, she my opinion of psychology in general is in the gutter, and the stuff she sources is studies. I'm like, yeah, that sounds like they just made that crap up. Whenever she cites anything, and given the state of the scientific study industry for churning out stuff for them publications, it's like, yeah, I don't know if I trust that. I don't think I do. So the few videos I've watched of her, I've just been like, yeah, I don't think I believe that. You can if you want. I don't think that's right. But our boy in the other thread though posted in his thread, it was just endlessly entertaining to watch him get beat on and just couldn't stop because like all people that become lolcows, genuine lolcows, they never know when to just shut up because then they wouldn't be lolcows if they would just shut up for a bit, turn off Twitter, turn off social media, stop engaging with it. They could reset and everything could go back to normal, but they just can't do that. Yeah, I've got genuinely nothing for actual news. Just following a few lolcows on the farms and playing Ninja Gaiden and ZZ.
I mean, there's only pretty much gossip going around at the moment that I can see. Like the gossip of the morning was whatchamacallit, Reset Era starting a like they know now that their boycott campaigns don't work, so this time they're reporting shift up to Visa and MasterCard
Uh
because they've decided that the new Stellar Blade is pedophilia.
uh because the Jubblies are not big enough.
Apparently, I don't know the characters in Stellar Blade because I haven't played it.
I haven't looked much at the new trailer with the new game, but first game was good.
But yeah, they've decided that it's a form of pedophilia, and therefore they're going to report it to the payment processors to destroy their business. But yeah, it's sort of we're at this stage where people are still just making like post and tweet collages. We're not at this stage where anybody has the story hammered out yet. So
Yeah, the I don't get that aspect of social media ever penetrating into YouTube. The one that like if the Jubblies aren't big enough, you're an Adobe PDF. For the longest time, if the Jubblies were too big, then that was sexualizing the women. Where is the size line? What cup size is the the size they were happy with? Trick question. Doesn't exist.
The one of the catchphrases that emerged last month was "cup size of consent."
Yeah, I don't know if they're actually small bodied in the new game, but if they're like Eve, Eve is very much there's a lot of woman there. It may not be up front, but the rest of it is all there. I mean, it's robot woman, but it's still very female woman. And it has momentum when it moves.
I don't know what the debacle is. I think that they just hate Shift Up and they want some way to punish them.
Yeah,
So
I think they just hate pretty ladies that appear in any game that shows how sexy they are without being a Gunner game. In fact, they take umbrage with the Gunner games too, don't they? They need to get mad about everything.
they take note of anything that isn't rainbow flavored enough.
All right. I
Where's
think,
Fern?
yeah, I think we call it there because we got the show on boobies again.
It's well, I mean, this is Fern's punishment for not being present.
Not chaperoning us.
Yeah, especially on a week where we've got, you know, Valina has been released and Remiel has been drip marketed.
And Lucilla came out the previous week. Boobies.
You and your morale raising measures.
Hey, they are effective. All right, folks. I think we're done.